And we are live. Good evening, good afternoon, and welcome to episode 7 of Endless Banter. You are joined by myself, Big Tom, and the man himself, Mr. Paul Harrison. So, as we do every week, we want to know, Paul, what have you had for tea? Don't say Tasha's not cooked you out again. What have you got in your cup? And how's your week been so far?
We went to the carvery for my tea.
Breathe.
I had my Banfield yesterday, I had my Banfield on Monday, so today was the first time I've had anything solid. So I had a bit of Yorkshire pudding and a little bit of potato and a little bit of turkey, and I was fucking stuffed
Lovely.
like an old prostitute. So
I saw that Ava had a massive cake as well.
mate, I never had pudding. I never had nothing. To be fair, Ava's cake would have fed a small African village. It was fucking massive. That's what she wanted. So that's what the kid got. I've got nothing in my cup because I haven't got a cup. But I did put the fucking coffee machine on, so I will run and make a coffee in a minute.
Do that a lot.
And my week has been, we've had a good week.
Did you have a positive? When we got a positive this week for Land Rover.
Land Rover on fucking fire. Charlotte needs to fucking start her own franchise, man. She's fucking smashing it down there. I went in this morning and she was in a meeting. She waved at me through her glass office doors, and then she come out and was like, "Is everything okay?" And I said, "It is, yeah." I said, "But she's just told me that the car won't be ready till straight away because I'm booked down for a 10:30 arrival." And she was like, "Pulled the cars outside, cleaned, ready, waiting. Range Rover Velar, give me the keys, fuck me off." I was out of there. The black geezer made me a coffee, give me a handful of biscuits. It's fucking happy days, mate. I was done and gone.
So we've got a positive this week rather than just everyone's a cunt
negative. It's mad. I mean, I says on my live feed today that it's mad that just one person can make such a difference to the way a customer feels in a place, to be fair.
Yeah, it just gives you a little bit more of a bit of what is it, like confidence, a bit of thing to feel like they're actually.
You know what, genuinely, for me, honestly, it's not about me going in there and being treated like a fucking lord. It really isn't. But it's just about people being straight with you more than anything. And if they're fucked up, they're fucked up. But just say you're fucked up, it's not a problem.
Yeah, exactly.
Charlotte seems to be on fucking fire.
The positive, Tom, is that I'm getting a fucking Velar.
Oh, you like it then? Is it you? I remember you saying in your live feed it's not big enough for you. Is it what? Small enough for you?
Really, really nice. No, it's big enough physically for me. I can fit in there. I just prefer a bigger car myself. There's enough leg room. I haven't got the chair all the way back. It's just, to be fair, I'm pretty sure I haven't looked, but it was parked next to Tasha's. We had to obviously go in 2 cars to the pub because mine's only a 5-seater and Tasha's only a 5-seater, so we all couldn't fit in the one car. But when I parked it next to Tasha's, although the Velar's bigger, the actual wheelbase looks identical, and I'm assuming it's probably on the same chassis. And the thing with Tasha's is, Tasha's got the Evoque, and it looks bigger than what it feels when you're driving. It's mad.
Mm.
Like when you sat inside the Evoque, and exactly the same in the Velar, you feel much lower than what you'd expect to feel when you're in that car. I don't know how the fuck they've even made it, to be honest. I don't know.
So same chassis, but like a taller body.
Yeah, but it's like the chassis on my Discovery is identical to the chassis that's on the Range Rover Sport.
Yeah.
And the Evoque is was on the old Freelander 2. And they've stopped making the Freelander. So they brought out, like, the Evoque sort of replaced that range. And I'm pretty sure, so the front of it's longer, the back of it's longer. It's not a dissimilar height. It's probably a similar height, actually. But definitely, it was parked next to each other, and the wheels look like they're in exactly the same pitch, which would probably suggest it's on the same chassis as, or a slightly upgraded chassis, but something similar. But Tasha said straight away she liked it when we seen it. But they're just Range Rover, don't they? 60-odd grand. And you say, well, we do a fucking expo, mate. Tasha needs to pull your fucking finger out of expo.
Yeah, because I didn't know which motor it was, so I did look at the actual motor to see what it was, and I did think it was the one that Tasha's already got, which wasn't that designed by Victoria Beckham? You got something to do with that?
I think there was something like that, but to be honest, I don't think Victoria Beckham can design a car. She can't design clothes, the scrawny little rat bastard.
No, and I looked at it, and it does look very similar to Tashi's. It does. I thought.
You know what? To be honest, when they're part next to each other, it's different. And inside, it's next level, mate. It's probably nicer than mine inside, to be fair. And obviously, mine's just 12 months old. But it's got a mixture of my stuff and the stuff that's in. Like my even though like Matt's got a Range Rover Sport, which is the same age as mine, and even though the screens are the same and the dash layout's very, very similar, and that's on the same chassis as my car. I've got the round disc that puts it from drive to sport and all that malarkey. On that one, it's still a lever, I think, on the Range Rover Sport. I've got analog clocks on mine, and Matt's clocks are digital. And what they've done on that is it's got some of the stuff off my car, some of the stuff off my car, but it's also got sort of the later Range Rover stuff on the dash. Bye. Good night.
Bye.
I love you too. So it's got a massive touchscreen. It's got like the normal screen at the top, and then the whole centre console's touchscreen and digital as well. It's really, really nice. It drives nice. I'm assuming it's a 240 brake.
Good night.
Good night, love you.
Good night.
I'm assuming it's a 240 brake, 2-litre diesel, which is the same engine they offer in my car now. And it's lively, man. It pulls really, really nice. It drives nice. Just for me personally, I'd rather have a Range Rover Sport. And to be honest, if I was going to have a Range Rover Sport with 5-speed seats, I'd have a full-size Range Rover, to be fair, because they're just next level. But the Evoque is not. I mean, the Velar is really, really nice. It's just not for me personally.
It's all down to personal preference, isn't it? So we have, you have released some pictures today. You did release a sneak peek. Was it yesterday you released a sneak peek?
Yeah, yesterday. I mean, literally, they sent them me yesterday when they'd finished machining them. Obviously, today they've polished them and they've done, and they look a little bit nicer. And I've put the pictures out there. I'm really, really, really pleased with this mod.
As I said to you, it's very sort of sleek and sexy, and it's the curvature on it looks mint. If you want to throw a picture up of it, are you able to do that?
Is that showing?
No, click onto the next page. There we go, and I'll click on you so everybody can see it. That is the new Endless Mods. Yeah, boy.
So what we've done is we've put the ridge in the top, which is there, and actually that finishes at 22 mil. So when you've got the 24 mil cap on, it slightly overhangs, which it shows in the previous picture. So that's both of them. They're both 24 mil caps. They are. And somewhere I might have a picture. There you go. That's got the 22 mil cap on it. That's a 24 mil. So what I'm thinking of doing is, and I'm just waiting for the prices to come back from China, is to see whether we can send the kit out with a 22 mil hybrid, 24 mil hybrid, and a 25 mil hybrid. So that way, then you can run whatever the fuck you like on it. Really, there's not much outside 22, 24, and 25 mil atties. I might even just do 20.
Even with that 24 mil sort of overhang to obviously being 22, 24, doesn't make it any sort of. It doesn't look wrong. Do you know what I mean?
No, but obviously I've designed it for a 24 mil. It was only today when I was thinking, or yesterday I spoke to you and said I've asked them to knock up a 22 mil. Although I knew that. See, to be honest, thanks, Bab. On my original drawing, where I'd done that indent at the top, which actually goes into 22 mil, it was supposed to come back out and then just go up by about 2 mil,
right?
But flare back out to 24 mil. Now, as it goes, the way that they've finished it, which is these are obviously the prototypes, but the way that they've finished it means that we can.
Let me show you again.
We can put the top cap on there, and it looks just like how I designed it, but it also means that from there to there is 22 mil, so the top cap fits perfectly flush. And because you've got the recess at 22 mil in that piece there,
yeah,
comes back out to 24 mil. And from there, it flares out to 26 mil there at the widest point, back into 24 mil. So, I mean, even the fact that the hybrid overhangs doesn't look out of place.
No.
An extra half a mil aside to take it up to 25 mils, not going to be neither in or there. You probably won't even notice the difference, to be fair, between a 24 and a 25 mil.
First question that's come up, Paul. Can it be stacked?
I'll obviously get some prototype stacks in. We've also got we've got an 18350 tube coming for the ME. We've got an 18500 tube coming from the ME, and then we've also got 18350 and 18500s coming in that same style as the new Emperor as well. So very short, small, out to 26, up to 24. I mean, it's so deceptive looking at these pictures, just on the basis that obviously even the ME, the amount of people that bought the ME and then said when they got it, fucking hell, it's tiny. This is only exactly the same height as the ME mod.
Yeah, it's just got that.
Obviously, flares out to 26 mil there at the widest point and whatever. I think this mod is going to look much, much nicer in the hand than what it will.
You think? I think it'll look mint because
that's what I'm saying. I think it'll look nicer when you've got it in the flesh than it does in a picture, even because I don't think you can appreciate how small that mod is. And then the new RDA, I posted a picture of the 3D CAD drawing of the V4S, which is the same style post system as the ME, but 4 posts, so it can be dual cored or single cored. And then we've just done the drawings today for an Hourglass V22. It's not going to be called that. It'll probably be just called the Emperor, which is very similar to the Hourglass V2, only it's shorter, so it's much stubbier. And it's got airflow control, whereas the Hourglass V2 was fixed airflow. And it'll have single coil airflow option on it as well, so you can run it single coil, one airflow, or dual coil airflow control. And I showed you the picture earlier of the prototype Slam M22, which is squat as well, which is going to be fucking bad. It'll be mint on that mod actually with 22 mil.
You see, the thing for me was what's going to make me, because every picture is going to be different, because you can run the 22, run the 24, and you run a 25 mil AT on it. So every picture is going to be different because someone's going to try something different, see what it looks like on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's very versatile that you can have different sized RDAs on it. I think that's massively. And is there anything out there that actually offers that?
I don't think there is.
I honestly don't think there is either. So that'll be cool because people who like an airy 25 mil can run it on that. If they want a tight draw single coil like the ME RDA, you can run that on there in 22 mil. So I think it'll be cool as hell seeing the different photos of different RDAs on it and seeing how differently the RDAs do perform.
Well, I mean, the bottom line is that I don't think there's anyone that gives that option to pick your top cap size. I'm pretty sure there's not. I mean, it's something I even looked at releasing for AV back in the day when AV was smashing it big time. We looked at machining 22 mil, 20 and 25 mil top hats for the AV, just because everyone was restricted to a 24 mil.
Yeah.
And we decided to do it on this mod, more because it's so small and got that much curving, such a fucking short height. Won't make no. I don't think it will look out of place with a 22, a 24, or a 25 on there. Now, there's a real chance we might just do it 22 mil and 24 mil, just on the basis that there's not many 25 mil options.
No.
There's Kennedy. There's the Air Force, which is 24.8 or something like that. There's obviously the Slam 25. But there isn't a lot of 25s out there. I think the new Sherman's 25, or is that 24?
25, I think.
So, I mean, we'll see. I'll see what the price difference is. And it could be that we just sell it as an option and people can buy it extra.
Yeah, because what a lot of people don't realise, and I don't know if anybody in chat realises it, but obviously, like the V2S can be run with a 25 or a 24 mil cap. So if you've got a cleaner and you've got the 25mm cap and you wanted to run the deck on that as a 24mm, you can always buy the option of the 24mm cap that'll fit flush on there.
Yeah, and obviously that deck will be the same size as the V2S. So the V4S will be the same as the V2S. So you can buy that and stick a slammer on it. You can stick the Endless Clouds V2 on there. Whatever we've got, you can put on there because we're making the deck exactly the same size. So
there's lots going on. Cushion Chucker's back next week, isn't it?
Emperor's put a dirty version. Stack wise, yeah, definitely we're going to get the stack in prototype. I think what we're going to do is we're not going to sell it as a kit stacked, just because it puts cost on.
Yeah.
There's people that buy the cleaner now that without a stack. And to be fair, obviously when we launched the cleaner, I can't even remember what the cleaner retails for. 109, 199, 129, depending on your colour. So anywhere between 110 and 130. And you've got the stack, the mod, and the RDA, but still is cheaper than anything else that's out there for the equivalent. The clean mod's 60 quid or 65 quid, depending on finish. Can't be stacked. We've got a new 30mm version coming out, which is going to be the Empire, which is going to be based on the Emmy design switch-wise. Now, I'm thinking, this is me thinking out loud as well now, literally. So this is Tom. I know I've already done the drawings for a 24mm sleeve mod using the same design as the Emperor and the M, the same switch design, but you can put a sleeve on it. I'm thinking I might just launch the 30mm as a sleeve mod.
I'd be quite pleased to do that. There's not been a 30mm sleeve mod either, has there?
Well, there's obviously the 34mm endo, isn't there? But 30mm 26650 is, and it's going to be the same height as the ME, probably a fraction taller, just because 26650s aren't normally 665mm. They're normally about, they can be up to a mil higher than that. So we've got to make sure we've got at least the extra height of a 26650 in the length of the body. Otherwise, the throw potentially could be next to fuck all, if anything. So, but the 26650, apart from fuck it that much, is going to be the same height as an Emma. So you imagine a 30mm 26650 stacked that is probably only 30mm higher than an Empress in single. It looks sick.
Yeah, it'll probably proper little dinky. That's the thing is, it's giving the options again of being able to stack. And people were saying, "Can you stack the Emmy? Can you stack the Emmy?" And it was sort of, as me and you had gone over, saying we wanted something that would do one job, and it's worked in that way of doing it. But being able to play and do like the 34mm, the 30mm and the 24mm, it's being able to have that little bit of a play and to add different options to it. And I think people do like the Emmy because it does what it does. But then people are saying they still want to play with the stacks. Claire's in the chat saying she's never run a cleaner in single. It's always been stacked. But there's a lot of people out there that, as Paul said, people do run them single. But then
what's mad is we've probably sold as many cleaner mods in single as what we have clean mods. And one's 25mm at the bottom. The clean is still 25mm at the bottom. It tapers to 24mm. Maybe it's just because they want the option of stacking it at a later date if they feel that's what they want to do. I don't know. I mean, I actually still think the clean mod is a nice looking mod with the black anodize with the black cap on and a brass drip tip and that. I still think it still looks nice because it is clean. It's not too out there. There's not much going on. The Emmy, again, is a nice clean mod. The thing I like about the Emperor is I actually do really like the shape on it.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that it's got the same switch design as the Emmy. And I like that.
We did have that feedback, it was Vaping with Vic when he gave us obviously the feedback about, he said it might take a little longer to put in the battery and take all the parts out of the Emmy. And as we said in his comment and to him, we said that obviously taking all the parts out and placing the battery reduces any sort of adjustment. You have to do zero adjustment. And to me personally, in the long run, the ME switch works perfectly because one, you don't have to adjust it, and two, it's just simple and you can break it down so easy to clean it if it needs cleaning. Everything comes apart on it. So I thought that was a positive in that way, that there was no adjustment needed at all, in regardless of what battery wrap you use or anything like that. There was no sort of, because there is plenty of space in there when you put a battery in. So if you have got a thicker wrap on there, it doesn't affect you have to do any sort of adjustment or anything. You get that in there, you put your dowel in on top, you put your spring on, top cap, add it, off you go. And it eradicates sort of that, as we've discussed before, about changing the dowel in and putting the switch back on, take it back off, and anything like that. It just eradicates. It's just a lot more cleaner, pardon my pun. I think it's easier to do. So there's a lot of things moving forward, and I'm very excited.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that we're looking at doing now as well is just the deck option that will be available on its own, just as a deck that will screw straight into and replace the hybrid on the ME. You'll replace the hybrid on the Emperor, and just so actually it'll just be a hybrid deck straight on, so you don't need the top cap, which probably is not going to reduce the height of the mud significantly, maybe by a mil or two. I mean, I think our 510 is quite long. Our 510 from the base of the RDA to the end of the screw is 5 mil. Now the goon was particularly short at about 3.5 mil. So we've always gone for a longer. The trouble with that is when we do our drawings, we obviously allow for 65.5 mil for a battery. And then if we're allowing 5 mil for the 510 pin, and then we'll try and have our throw somewhere between 1.5 and 2 mil. So it's not fucking just firing off it on it, fucking a gnat's press.
Yeah.
You put a goon on there, you increase your throw by another 1.5 mil. So if we're running at a 2 mil throw and then you've got to go to 3.5 mil, you've nearly doubled the throw length because of the length of the 510.
Hmm.
Now I'm looking at ways that we can sell different contacts for the switch section that might be a mil longer. So
totally, totally.
RDA that's got a particularly short throw on it, I mean, a short 510 on it, then you can buy the silver plated 1 mil longer than standard fucking pin, screw it onto your switch set, and your throw will be back the same. Then if we sell one that's 1.5 mil bigger, it might be that you run that on a normal mud with a normal battery and our RDA because you do want a fucking 0.5 mil throw. You know what I mean? And just maybe bring out another 2 different contacts that give people a throw option.
Yeah, I think that would work because people obviously are sometimes stuck in their way in what RDA they do use. So they do like the look of the Tash and what of the RDAs, and the tube, but they're obviously wanting the different function of being able to use their different RDAs with the same sort of I don't know what the word is for it, sort of pressure to put in the button.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I've looked at using different springs, and I think the throw on the ME for me is nigh on perfect for me personally, and it's strong enough that it's not going to press too easily, and it's not too strong that you're going to force the top cap out of its threads. There's obviously quite a lot of pressure on that top cap because you're screwing in from the top. Now, one of the other modifications I've looked at doing, and again, this is me, this is an exclusive right there, is whether we can do a kit that will work. In fact, I'm not even going to tell anyone, fucking man. You spoke about doing on a different mud, and actually I've looked at our mud, and I think we can sell a kit to convert it. We spoke about firing the mud in a certain way.
Yes.
I've looked at the mud, and I believe we can do it to the ME by actually selling a kit. So you turn the tube upside down.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
So that's something that I'm just looking at now.
Yes, Ross, that is a tease, a massive tease, and me and Paul being on about it for for at least 2, 3, 4 months. So if Paul's got an idea, it's definitely there. So that's a proper tease. That's even a tease to me.
So Claire's saying she's run her Empress in single but didn't like it because it takes the nice design away. Honestly, right, without blowing smoke up my own arse, I honestly think the Empress is one of the nicest looking tube mods in single anywhere on the market. Genuinely, I think the tube looks really nice. The shape, it's nice. Anyone that's used one, the curve where it goes in between your finger and your thumb when you're holding it is nigh on perfect. Obviously, it's horses for courses. Everyone's got a diff. That says I do like the 1111 that Vapors Cloud done.
See, I think the Emperor's gonna go against the Empress me because I think it's clean and it's got it's just simple with that just nice curvature, and I think that's gonna rival it because it is a sexy little piece of kit. It's like, to me, it's the Emmy with attitude.
No, absolutely, mate. And I mean, today I've toyed with the idea of whether we should make the centre hole wider and make it available for 21-700s and 2700s and all this malarkey. And then what we can do is we can put in a separate top cap. So if you're running it in 2700, you'll have a top cap that's 5 mil longer. So actually you're not detracting from the mod in any way, shape or form. And then if you want to run it in 18650, you just change the top cap. But then I'm a bit like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just going to do what I'm doing. I was going to make it even 26. I really like the 26650 battery, and it works. We sell them. It works really, really well. I've run them in the Empress with the adapters on there, and they do conduct way better than the 2700, in my opinion. They work much better. But maybe that's something I'll do on the 30 mil. Is make it so it can be 18650, 2650, 2700, 21700, and just put the whole lot of it at 26650. Put all the adapters in there, knock your fucking self out, and use whatever you like in it.
Yeah, see what you can use.
And in reality, it's got to take a 26650. I can definitely make it take 2650s and 18650s, just by putting different thickness plastics in there for the insulators. So we will see. We will see what happens with that. I think with this one, I just wanted to actually stick to 18650. I like the design of the Emmy. I like the way it works. I genuinely love the shape of this new mod, and I think it looks really nice. And I think it's going to look even nicer when people have got it in their hand. I'm really excited. I'll probably get it from China maybe Tuesday, Wednesday of next week. We will be doing a purple mod as well.
Oh.
We're doing a purple mod, and it'll be launched at Expo in the ME in purple and the Emperor in purple.
Nice.
So that's
very cool.
Exclusive right there. And the reason why I didn't launch it
for them matches then, getting the sets and that.
Well, the reason why I didn't launch it with the Emma in purple is because I fucking forgot. No other reason. And when I spoke to him today, and I was like, you know what? I want to do that purple. And she was like, says I want some Emmys and I want some Emperors. And she was like, why didn't you have the in purple originally? I said, because I fucking forgot you done it. That's what.
Well, sort of going into the new design and everything like that goes into sort of our next subject. I am skipping what's on the list to another subject. But what I've wrote down here is Ohm's law bypassed? And how I mean by that is, and the reason I wrote it like that is because, do you think it's not heavily promoted as it should be, or do you think people lack in usage of learning Ohm's law? Because in everyday vaping, you get a tank, you screw your coil in, you put it on a mod, it reads it, it tells you your ohms, and off you vape. Do you think, especially mechanical mods, do you think it's overlooked?
I think it's overlooked massively.
Is that down to vendor, manufacturer, or user?
It's down to everyone. I mean, I can remember back in the daytime, if you posted something, I'll just flick back to my screen share, and you should be able to see the 22mm slammer.
Yeah. It's proper dinky, that, isn't it?
It's shorter than a slammer, to be honest. It's considerably shorter than a slammer, so it'll look nice again. It'll look nice on the Emmy. It's going to look nice on the Emperor as well. Ohm's law. I think, you know what? I think it's just like it stopped becoming. People sort of went over the top at one point where you posted anything under 0.2 and they were going, fuck, you know, you're going to blow yourself up, you mad cunt, you fucking hell, the battery's only safe to 20 amps and all this malarkey. And then you had certain cloud chasers that were claiming that some batteries that were 20 amp might be 20 amp continuous, but they can pulse up to 100 amps and it's okay to do a 0.06 build on them. And I've run daily at 0.07. And that's what when I was using the Sam Allens, I was using them on the daily all the time. And there was a sort of double negative on them batteries for me, or a double positive, whichever way you want to look at it. I genuinely, my mod never got as hot running a 0.07 build as what it did running a 0.1 build, because the ramp up was that quick. I was taking sort of semi-pulse drags on it.
Mm.
Whereas when I went back to a 0.1 build, and I'm taking a longer drag and I'm using different wire and whatever else, actually I'm probably putting more strain on the battery, certainly generating more heat because my mod used to get much hotter. And I think 980 and 990 and even stainless has created such good ramp up times that people just tend to forget about battery safety, really. And it's not pushed by anyone, and it's just become acceptable to say, yeah, it's fine to run at 0.1. And even now, I consider personally a 0.1 build to be way, way, way safe. However, in the wrong hands, it's still fucking dangerous.
Yeah.
And people probably rely on build calculators more to say that this build's going to give this much ohmage. And that's only true depending on how tight you've wrapped your coils, how long your legs are. I mean, I can get a 0.07 build up to 0.9 just by having my legs longer.
Yeah.
0.09. Now that's 0.2 is nothing, right? But 0.2 on a 0.7 build is nearly 30% difference.
Yeah.
And like people who run at 0.1, and so and that is really at double the limit. That's giving you a 40 amp pulse at 0.1. That's obviously on a fully charged battery. You've got to allow for battery sag and all that malarkey. But instead of trying to buck around the rules, a 4.2 volt battery with a 0.1 build in there is going to be pulsing at around about 40 amps, which is twice the amp limit of most batteries.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck what it says on the wrap. It might be talking about the difference between continuous and pulse, but most run-of-the-mill, standard, normal vapors, and certainly people that have converted from sub-ohm tanking to building, don't know the difference between pulse and continuous.
No.
I consider a 0.1 completely safe, in my opinion, in my hands. I consider a 0.04 completely safe, in my opinion, in my hands. I would never advocate it to anyone else.
No, but that's the difference.
I'm using my mod. It starts to get too hot. The first thing I do is unscrew my button, even if it's just because I've been using it too much. And I've done that. I've sort of done a video for Mech Addiction or whatever group in the past, and I'm on there blowing a cloud and another cloud and another cloud, and I might do. And certainly when you're tricking and doing some O's and some jellyfish, you fucking hammer the life out of a mod. It don't take long for it to get super hot.
Yeah.
Now, the minute something don't feel right in my hand, the first thing I do is crank the switch open on it. And that's only to make sure that the battery hasn't started to vent or something hasn't gone wrong. There's lots of people who just go, fucking hell, this is getting warm. Bam.
Yeah.
And I don't know. We said in an episode a few weeks ago, I don't believe that anyone vaping now and anyone that started vaping in the last, I would say, 18 months, unless you've specifically gone out and researched and learnt and understood, are gifted the same knowledge that we were gifted 5 years ago. And then the same knowledge that we passed on 4 years ago and 3 years ago, because actually it was an important thing. And I see the state of some people's batteries now, mate, and it makes me fucking want to go and punch a cat. Because I see people, someone posted a picture earlier saying I've bought some wraps to do these, and the negative end of the battery, it looked like it got a fucking 2 or 3 mil recess in, where they've way over tightened the likes of an Able mod, and they're running positive down, and they've tightened the top hat and the switch, and it's like the 510 off the RDA is forcing itself into the negative.
Yeah.
What you've got to understand, my cousin said to me, coming to my office one day at the factory, he was like, Paul, have you got a battery I can use? You know, 5 minutes more on your charger and give us an 18650. I handed him a fucking mint 20 VCT5A. It's all I use, unless I've got some 25 hours knocking about. So any of my batteries, I've either got HB6s, which are the ones that are 1500 mAh and they'll take a fucking right load. Yeah. I used to use them just for comps or just for play videos, just because they do conduct super well, but they're shit for vaping all day because you get about fucking 20 minutes out of them and they're done. So my general battery will be a VCT5A, a push 25R. And I still advocate 25R being one of the best run-of-the-mill cells ever produced. And he handed me a battery, mate, where the positive was that forced in. It must have been the thickness of one of my pubes away from fucking short venting.
Fucking hell.
And I was like, mate, what the fucking hell have you done? He said, I dropped it, mate, and that's dented in there. And I tried to bend it out, but it sparked. And he's obviously got the screwdriver in there and fucking shorted it. And I was like, what are you doing? It shocks me, man. It shocks me that people do not appreciate the dangers of these batteries.
Do you think that's in a way that we use batteries in all day life? So you put a battery into your back of your TV remote and that's it, done, dusted, that's a battery. Some people see these batteries that you put into the vaping devices as just a regular fucking battery.
Absolutely. And to be honest, I mean, if you dead short a Duracell, they get fucking hot. I mean, properly hot. They might not vent because the amp drawer on there is completely different. The way that they did the chemistry inside the battery is different. But I can remember doing, in fact, when I was a kid, I had some sort of fucking science set for Christmas, some sort of chemistry set. And one of the things was you got like a coil of copper wire and you literally wrap that around the outside of the cell.
Hmm.
And then you put one end on each end of the battery and it basically obviously warms up the coil.
Yeah.
But what it's doing ultimately is dead shorting the battery and using the copper wire as a pretty much a replacement for our coil in the RDA.
Yeah.
You put a very short piece of wire from one end of a Duracell battery to the other, it'll get fucking hot. It'll probably melt the insulation on the wire. It'll get super hot. You do that to one of these batteries, mate, the chemistry in them, it'll fucking bang simple. I mean, there's videos, go onto YouTube and type in venting battery. There's people who've done it on there just to show you the dangers and the way that these things go. And I think, again, we said a few weeks ago, if you run a 0.5 build, 0.05 build on your RDA, you're putting a massive strain on the battery. Probably somewhere, I think 0.05 is going to come out at about 80 amps pulse, something like that, on a 20 amp cell. So you're putting a huge load on that battery. However, you're still putting a different load on it to a dead short. So if you vent the battery by running it at too low ohms, you don't get thermal runaway.
Mm.
What you get is there's something inside them battery designed to pop if it's fucking running, if it's under overload.
Yeah, like an overload, yeah.
If you dead short that battery, you get thermal runaway. Thermal runaway is where it heats up that fast, it will explode before the cutouts in the battery have had a chance to do their job. So if you're running a really, really low build and you take the battery over its point of capability, normally when it vents, it will vent with a hiss and a piss and a pop, and it's done. When you thermally run away a battery through a dead short, it will blow up and take your fucking lips off.
It'll blow them, yeah, it'll go boom. And it's But the information is out there. The worst thing about it is the information is out there for people to research, but people, and this is not aimed at every vapor and whatnot, but there's a lot of people that don't do that research to find out the information before they do anything. And I've said this before I buy a product, whether it be a general household product or a vaping product or something that I'm going to invest money in, I research it before I buy it. And if you don't know if you haven't researched a battery and why it's better to buy that battery and what the battery does and how to be safe with the battery, what are you doing? That is probably one of the main points that you need to be doing, is looking at the safety aspect of it. It's not a fucking AA battery that goes in back of your TV remote. It's a high discharge battery that will, if hard shorts, will fucking blow up in your face. And it's forgot. It just seems like it's a forgot thing to me, and it can be quite dangerous in the wrong hands, as you say.
Mate, I remember selling batteries to women in shops who got like I'm trying to think of a device, but an e-leaf type device that would take 18650s, and they'd come in and they'd be like, "Oh, I need a new battery for me Mars because I haven't had one for a few months and whatever," and they'd take their old battery out and stick the new one in and say, "I'll keep this one as a spare." Fucking before it in their handbag. I'm like, whoa, fucking either get out or take the battery out your fucking bag before you blow me shop up, you mad woman. Fucking keys in there, fucking bit of change and whatever other shit women carry in their handbags, which is just like the perfect recipe for blowing the fucking lotto. And I'd say, well, take that, you can't put it in there. And they'd be like, why don't you explain? And to be fair, you explain it to them and they understand. You've also then got the other end of that where you've got some wanker who comes in the shop and goes, I need some new batteries, mate, for my mod. We had a geezer come into our shop with what I can't remember what mod it was. I don't even know whether any of the staff are watching. He took the fucking wraps off his batteries because they look nicer.
What?
He was running it in a regulated mod with no wraps on the batteries. Now, obviously, when he took his cover off, I thought, oh, this dickhead's got them clear wraps on. And then I was like, mate, what the fucking hell? You've got no wraps? He said, no, they look sick, don't they, in chrome? I was like, what are you fucking doing, you mad cunts? Obviously, they were in a regulated mod where they go next to each other in the battery carrier. But more by look than judgment, there was a fucking like a mil gap between them. How the fuck you'd never? I mean, I suppose in theory, even if the sides, how would it work?
To be honest, Paul, I still won't want to put two fucking.
Either way, it was like I was like, what the fuck are you doing, you mad cunt? And it's not until you explain to him what they're doing, that they sort of understand. But then we've had other people that are like, "Nah, mate, my batteries are sweet," and I've said to him, "Listen, I'm not selling. If you don't want to buy batteries, then you ain't even got to buy them off me. Right? There's a shop fucking a mile down the road. Go and see if they've got batteries. There's another one fucking 3 miles that way. You ain't got to buy them off me. Go and buy them off anywhere that's reputable. I don't give a shit where you get them from. But until you get some, I'm not selling you nothing. I'm not selling you a tank. I'm not selling you a mod. I'm not selling you a fucking liquid, because I'm not having responsibility of you walking out here and you only think I'm trying to mug you off for money. So on that basis, instead of you thinking I'm trying to mug you off for money, I don't want none of your money. Sort your batteries out, come back and we'll fucking serve you." Now, they think you've been a prick, and they think you've been over the top, and they think you're trying to just sell them a pair of fucking batteries. But the truth of it is, for what we make on a pair of batteries now, is fuck all.
Yeah.
But back in the day, we used to sell a single fucking E-Fest battery, 18650 for tenors.
Tenors, yeah.
No, we're selling 25 hours for £5 or something. Now, believe me, we're making next to nothing on them batteries. We're not making probably one of the lowest margin products in the shop. But we turn over a lot of batteries because all the mods have them. Back then, obviously, there was only really mechanical mods had them. Yeah. Most regulated devices were LiPo in some way, shape or form. So like now you've got Smock Aliens and T-Privs and G-Privs and K-Privs and H-Privs and A-Privs and D-Privs and fucking every other priv that Smock all take a couple of batteries. So we sell a lot of batteries. It's not something that I'm really that asked about making money on. It's more about making sure people have got a decent battery in their mod and making them affordable enough that when they are fucked, they ain't got to break their bollocks to buy a new pair of batteries. And these vape cells, we haven't stocked them, not for any other reason than they're not. They've got to be a re-wrap battery of some nature. They've got to.
E-Fest. Everybody used to stick by E-Fest and say.
No, we sold E-Fest for a long, long time. I tell you what batteries we sold right from the get-go. VCT4As, and I knew nothing about batteries, mate. I knew nothing about batteries. We had some. We used to sell red E-Fest, which were really shit amperage. And we saw the purples that claimed 25 amps, I think.
There's some purple 350.
Yeah,
No,
I've still got some of them in the shop, the 350s and the 500s, and we've even got some 16 340s, which I had from my billet box. And
the black. Did you ever see the EFS black ones?
yeah, but they're longer, aren't they, though?
Yeah, because the nipple topped.
Have they not got the fucking cutout in the battery as well?
Nah.
Because they done one that had like a protection. They used to do protected batteries, didn't they? And they were slightly longer than a 350.
Because you got the black ones are longer than you got and then you've got the purples which are flat tops, and then you've got the red.
Or is the battery longer?
The battery is longer. The battery is longer.
Yeah, it's because it's got some sort of
that bit at the top in it, yeah, on the top there.
Something at the top that's like a fuse in essence.
Yeah. Underneath it, there's a 350.
So you can imagine how small the ME is, mate, in 350.
That's a 350. Well, where's the 186? Let me get a. Here's the iJoy 2700 next to a 350.
So you can imagine the new Empress, right, in 18350 will be fucking small.
Madness.
Like proper small. Madness. And obviously, I've said to Tash last night, we were talking about the clones again, about getting some clones in for the shop, and obviously China have already cloned all the Complife 18500s. I think they've done them in 18500. I might be wrong, there might be 350s, but they're obviously their switch design and everything else puts quite a lot of length into the mod. Don't get me wrong, they look sick as fuck. They're tiny, they look wicked. And I can get the clones in and we'll be able to sell them at reasonable money and everything else, but I'm just not sure that the people that are going to buy them have got enough knowledge to use a fucking 350 or a 500 cell. My biggest concern with them batteries, mate.
Yeah, 100%, because the information is out there for it. You know what I mean? A 350 and a 500 is what? 4 or 5 year old technology?
No, but longer than that, mate. Fucking hell, when I first started vaping 6 years ago, you could buy an 18350 and 18500.
Yeah, but you can also buy a fucking I'm sure I've got a mod
that was only 8 amp, but I'd run it with a 1 ohm coil in there.
Yeah.
In my mech. Do you know what I mean? It was
a lunging with 12 milligram.
Well, I was like sort of restricted lung inhaling. I didn't know I was restricted lung inhaling. There was just fuck all on the market that allowed you to give a proper lung hit, really, at that time. I can't remember, the Triton or something. I was using the RDA, so it had 3 hole settings. In hindsight, it was probably designed on the smallest hole for mouth to lung. On the biggest hole, it was probably not that much more than a Nautilus Mini. But I used to lung inhale it, and you'd take these big long... And that was fucking mech vaping right there. But I said,
right there.
Tasha's got some. What's the UK company that used to make the Fortune mods? They're tiny because they just work off a very, very short throw magnet switch.
Yes, yeah, the Fortune mod. I think they were
350s that are only 40 mil long, tiny little things. But again, you're running a 1.2 build in them or something like that. They're not designed for running anything. And with respect to anyone that buys clones, in the main, I would suggest that most of them are fairly inexperienced vapors, or they're cloud types. They're running 0.1 builds, they're running 0.08, 0.11, they're running low end builds. To run a 1 ohm build on a mech mod is a different fucking vaping style completely. And I can't remember. I've seen the Comp Life video, mate. They were running something like 0.36 or something on an 18350. It's too low.
Way too low.
But they've got I don't know whether they were vape cell ones again, where they've got the wrap on saying that they're fucking
40 amps.
16. No, but I mean, they weren't claiming massively high amps, but even 20 amps on an 18350 just ain't a thing.
No.
It's just not. And
find out what this is.
I mean, I bet that's 8 amps or 12 max.
It doesn't say what amps it is, but it says 3.7 volts, 800 mAh.
Yeah, and I bet if you Google that, the black one, I bet it's only 8. 8 amp draw.
Which one's this one? The 500 or the 350?
Well, either. I mean, we had 18650s in that were only 10 amp back in the day. So I mean, I'm sure we had some Imrans in, some Imran 18350s and 18500s. They claimed on the wrap to be 14 amps. In fact, I will go onto our website now.
Jesus Christ.
Imran. Right, so we sell the Imran 18500, 1100 mAh, 15 amp pulse, 10 amp continuous. We sell the 18350, also claims to have 15 amp pulse, 10 amp continuous. 26650, 60 amp pulse, 40 amp continuous. Then we've got the 16340 700 mAhs, which is what I bought for my billet box, and then I just stopped them just because. 10 amp.
Yeah, 10.5 amp, yeah.
So you start looking at 10 amp, and you're actually at 0.2 is 20 amps, so 0.4 build for 10 amps.
Say that again. It's a what build?
0.4 for 10 amps. And you can imagine running a fucking 800 mAh battery at 0.4
for about 15 and a half seconds.
You look at all the pictures of all them short comp lives, the 18350 comp lives, they're all running a standard battle cap. So it's dual airflow, fixed airflow, and they're chucking half decent clouds out of them, and they're running them builds way too low, in my opinion. That's just me. So my concern with the 18350 and the 18500 is that people do not have enough experience to run.
Yes, the knowledge, as you say,
and understand that their vaping style on that type of mod is going to be something completely different.
Well, what are them? What's the retail on them AV product? The Comp Life products.
I don't know. I'd imagine they're around about the 150 mark for the mod. But I really don't know, mate. I mean, I've seen numbers banding around 150, 180, 200. I don't know.
Well, that goes into the next topic of affordability is the future. Am I wrong or am I right in saying it we're done of the days of spending 350 quid, 400 quid on mods?
I think that as a statement, yes. However, I feel like shit's coming back round on a circle at the minute. I feel like after last year of being quite a low year in the industry for most high-end, I mean, you've seen the likes of James at Evolution doing 50 and 60% off Comply, 50% off Endless mods, pretty much ridding of nigh on most mech gear apart from Vapors Cloud, which obviously James is associated with. And you could 12 months before that, mate, and James was selling mods for like one comp lives that were retailing at 700 and 800 quid. He was selling them for 350s, £400, probably taking a loss on most of them, genuinely, because I know he paid a lump of money for them, that bundle of one-on-ones that he had in. And 12 months before that, mate, they would have been selling for £1,500, £2,000. So the whole market changed massively last year. Now, for us personally, fitting perfectly for what we do, because our products are affordable. In most cases, they're affordable to most people. In most cases, obviously, there's other people that still claim a £35 clone setup is money better spent for them, and I get that 100%. I'm not knocking anyone that's using a clone. But I don't know. I just feel like there's a little bit of vibe coming back into it, and I feel like people are starting. I've seen a lot of AVs starting to get traded about again, and obviously HDNA have launched their new range, and while they've relaunched the Exos and stuff that they launched at the start of last year. I don't know. I just feel like there's something coming back in. I do. I think by the summer we're going to be buzzing on tube again.
I do think there is a big surge of tubes coming back. I 100% believe that. I can't sit here and lie. And I
don't think we will ever get to a position again where people are paying £1,200 for a limited edition run mod.
No.
That said, I certainly wouldn't spend the money I was spending on mods 2.5 years ago. I just wouldn't, because I don't believe they're worth the money. I've seen Paul G earlier. He's got a green timekeeper, the aluminium coloured timekeepers.
Yeah.
I've got fucking two purposes. I've got a black one here. We've got a peacock one that I paid fucking £350 for. He sold it, shipped out £100. And actually, they were fetching big money before, because there weren't many of them, and all them coloured timekeepers pretty much came into the UK on the arse end of AV, lighting their own fucking fuse that was shoved up their arse before they imploded themselves. I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know, mate. I'm looking at them I'm looking at that mod that Jake's made at Addison Innovations, fully UK made, £175. And it's a proper nice looking mod as well. The Mercy, I think it's called. And that's for the limited edition ones that have got the engraving that I think was designed by Benny, who used to own League of Scoundrels. Why are you going to pay fucking £300 and £400 for a mod when you've got something like that coming out of the UK, made in the UK, sourced in the UK, by a UK company for £170? We've got the Emmy retailing from £75 for a whole set, Chinese made, UK company. I'm thinking that the new Emperor will be around about £100 for the mod and the RDA. So £25 more. There's obviously a lot more machining in that mod than what there is in the ME. And margin on that at £100 is not dissimilar to the margin on the ME, to be fair. And that'll be for the set. That'll be if you want to buy the set. I think we'll do it from the start as a mod or an RDA, your choice. Although I think
it's down to the consumer getting a little bit wiser to it, though, Paul.
You know what? I just think that people have got, spending has changed completely, Tom. The whole of the industry. Anyone that's on the live feed watching now, or anyone that watches it in the future, will know that people do not spend money in a vape shop like they used to. You'll find the one nugget of gold that comes in religiously and spends a few £100 every week on his fucking shit, and that's what he does, and he loves doing it. And we've got them at both of our shops that people will walk in and spend £600 in one go, and we still have them. We still have them people. We used to have people that come in and spent £200 in our shop every week, mate. Not one or two people, lots of people. And they were coming in and they were chasing the latest mod and the latest tanks and the latest liquids and the latest coils and the latest cotton and the latest wire. And by the time they'd got everything in the shop, we'd completely restock with all new gear. And next week they'd come in and buy the latest mod and the latest RDA and the latest tanking, and they'd buy the RDA in 5 fucking colours because that's how many it was available in. And it was like a whole new thing for lots and lots and lots of people. I still think at some point over the next 18 months, we'll probably see that again in some way, because there's so many new vapors that have come into the market in the last 18 months, put straight onto the likes of the Smock Alien kit. And I keep going on about that week in, week out, but them type of vapors have gone through and will go through a completely different school of learning than we did, because we grew with that industry change. And actually, it was in the likes of me and the likes of you and the likes of Dale and the likes of James and the likes of Taz at Grey's and the likes of Ibs at Innovapors and every other vape shop in the country had to do that to keep up with the industry, to understand the industry, to have the knowledge of the products that were selling and know what was coming in and what was coming out and what the people wanted. Now, I can't remember the last time anyone got hyped about anything new dropping in this industry. Genuinely, apart from the Emma, it was the first time for a long time that I've seen people saying, fucking hell, that's different. It's something new. It took people's eye. People like Paul Greenough, who's spent thousands of pounds on high-end gear, saying to me, mate, I want one of them mods. It's fucking quality. And then he got it and he messaged me and he says, you know what, mate, you've cracked it with this. It's so different. And that's people who were spending £1,000 on fucking 101 comp lives. And I know he had them because me and him were queuing up at the same time to buy the bastard things. So, but to actually capture people's imagination with something completely different, and a 22mm tube is fantastic, I think, in a market that is saturated daily with new products that slips into the market. And if you haven't got that name that you already had, you're just not doing it. Back in the day, mate, anyone could release anything. And because it was something new and something different, every cunt on Facebook was talking about it.
Yeah.
Now, if someone releases a new sub-ohm tank, even as a retailer, I'm still a bit like, what's that going to do any differently to the Smock Prince tank or the TFV 12 Mini or whatever fucking sub-ohm tanks we sell? Is it going to do anything different? It's another set of calls that I've got to stock for a tank that will probably die out as quick as it come in. I'm not even bothering. I'm going to stick with what I know sells. Where back in the day, mate, if a new tank dropped in China, every man and their dog was after it. Every single shop wanted it. And it's changed, and the way that people buy generally has changed. So is there a massive difference between high-end and affordability? Probably not in the circles that still buy high-end. You go on to Safe Vapors, you go on to UK Squonkers, mate, you can still see people parting with big money for fucking product.
Yeah.
And they enjoy it, and they love their products, and they know what they want, and they're chasing their dream, and they get it, and they're chuffed. Just as chuffed as someone who managed to scrape together 50 quid to buy a second-hand Endless mod. Because that's what they wanted. That's what's driven down a path of saving or doing or whatever they want to do to get it. But I just genuinely think, generally, most people are vaping now for a reason, and that reason is not to buy cigarettes. Therefore, why the fuck am I wasting £200 a week on vape gear?
Yeah.
And I just see that in the shop, mate. We used to sell. People would come into our shop on a Friday because it was payday, and they'd buy 60ml bottles of liquid. Now, they're not going to vape 360ml of liquid between now and next Friday. But next Friday, they come in and bought 60ml bottles of liquid. And the Friday after that, 60ml bottles of liquid. And every month, they might buy themselves 2 new mods and all of that. People come in now, and we sell very few 100ml bottles of liquid, even though the price per milliliter has dropped dramatically.
Hugely. Yeah.
So the most expensive 100ml we carry in our shop is 6 licks at $22.99. That's the most expensive 100ml we stock. We've got all of Dale's in at $19.99. We've got 15ml from the Ace of Vape at $14.99. Now, back in the day, you know yourself, mate, every single 60ml bottle of liquid, 20 quid. No matter who made it, where it was from,
20 on 30s.
Huh?
I remember spending 15 quid on 30s.
Yeah, we used to sell Bulls Vape £18 for 30ml.
But then it comes back to the discussion of look at short fills. To me, short fills, that's what did it to the industry. Lowered the price of e-liquid, did short fills.
You know what? The absolute reality is, mate, people were making too much money on liquid. However, you start looking at the people that are doing short fills properly, the likes of the Ace of Vapes, the likes of the Yorkshire Vapor, them sort of companies have still invested massively in the lab, in the certification, in the TPD compliance. And even though now they're making short fill because that's the way the market's dictating their business goes, I know 100% for the Ace of Vapes, and I would imagine 99% for Dale because I don't know, but I do know 100% for the Ace of Vapes. They still do not sell any product that's not TPD compliant. Even in their short fills, any single range of liquid that the Ace of Vapes make can be switched to TPD as quickly as it can be registered. On that basis, when and our liquid's been made through the Ace of Vapes. The reason why I went to the Ace of Vapes is because, one, they're local to me. Two, I've got a huge amount of time for Mark. They started up a very similar time to Shady Vaping. They've grew a massively successful company. They produce some of the best liquids in the UK across the range. Just Jam was probably the biggest change in liquid on the market ever of all time, in my opinion. That was just the most realistic, authentic tasting liquid ever to come onto the vape scene, and absolutely blew my mind. But we went with the Ace of Vapes for 2 reasons. One is because they're a local company to us, and I can go over there and I can sit down and we can make changes and we can do and we can discuss, and stuff can happen very, very quickly. The second thing, and the most important thing, was any single flavour that we launch in the As Fuck liquid, if short fill becomes an issue on the market, and I think it will do very soon because this whole has got to be fit for human consumption thing is coming in fucking fast.
Yeah.
Any liquid that we're making can be TPD compliant because we've got no nasties. in there. We're not flouting TPD compliance by using diacetyl-loaded custard concentrates. And there's people out there that are doing that, and I know 100% they're using diacetyl in their liquids, whether they know it or whether they don't. Some of the concentrates they're using would not pass TPD compliance.
I had a discussion with somebody the other day about custards, and they told me there'd been a change in custards, that they could taste the difference. And people, because it had changed to short fills, people had gone back to using the concentrate.
Look at how big custard liquids were. 5 years ago, a custard liquid was the liquid to vape.
Yeah.
Actually, 2 years ago, people discovered and found and loved their go-to custards. It was a massive, massive part of the market. Look how fucking fast custard disappeared when TPD come in.
Off the market, see you later, bye.
Pretty much gone, apart from people who were making shit in the main. And the reason for that was that they got rid of all the concentrates that weren't compliant with TPD. Now they can fucking short fill a bottle with the same shit in that people spent hundreds of thousands of pounds getting rid of because it's short fill. It doesn't make any bastard sense to me at all. Absolutely crazy.
Well, but as you say, that's the worrying part, because as soon as they start turning it around and going, there's no short fills, you've got to go back to the TPD way, and you can only do it when it's been tested. These companies are going to go, oh, fuck, we've been doing it like this for this long because we thought we could get away with it because it's not tested.
Yeah, and I mean, they're the absolute reasons why TPD was a good thing. Now, I'm not an advocate of the way TPD was brought in. However, I can say with my hand on my heart, Tom, 6 years ago when we started doing this, one of my inherent things that I said from day one is, we've got no regulation whatsoever. It was a completely uncontrolled industry that we came into. And to be honest, when I first started, mate, I spent weeks looking for what regulations I had to follow and couldn't find none, and then quickly realised there fucking weren't none.
Yeah.
But I still said to Tash, at that time, we invested over £10,000 doing the shady vaping liquids through white label because I had to put that amount of an order in there to get the liquids with our branding on it, but they were UK-made liquids. And I tried to be a step ahead of wherever I thought regulation may take us. So morally, I've never sold Chinese liquid, and I could buy it, and I can still buy it today at fucking 30 pence a bottle, and I could do 5 for a tenner and make more than I'm making on 3 for a tenner. I could do 6 for a tenner and make more than what I'm making on 3 for a tenner in my own range. That's absolute truth. I could probably do 8 for a tenner and make more for that tenner than what I'm making on 3 liquids. And what fucking annoys me with social media is social media has driven the market down a certain path. Now, 2 things. Social media has been fantastic for our business. Been absolutely fantastic. We started off on Facebook. It grew us to what we are now. However, our shops do 85% of our business. 15% of our business is done online as far as shady vaping is concerned. That's not including Endless, but shady vaping as a vaping business, 85% in store, 15% online. And yet most of our day-to-day activities conducted around social media, on Facebook, etc., trying to please the masses of people. I see people fucking posting UK vape trades daily, for hundreds of times a day. Anyone point me in the right direction of some decent liquid? I'm talking about like 200ml for tenors posted. And I'm like, it's not out there. Now, you might be happy vaping it. You might get a decent flavour out of it. But I guarantee you, it's not made right. It's just not. It could even have Capella concentrate in there. But it's made in some cunt's fucking shed.
It's been in a bathtub, yeah.
Don't get me wrong. You've got the likes of Jake Addison at Bruise Bros or whatever they're called, the Bruise Bros.
Yeah.
Innovation. They retail 60ml of UK-made liquid in the lab that he spent fucking 50-odd grand doing recently for $8.99 or $9.99, something like that. We sell it in store for $9.99. I think Jake might sell it even cheaper himself directly. But obviously, I'm buying it off Jake, and Jake's manufacturing it. So, but it's good quality liquid. But I know it's made right, and I know he's not just fucking filling it with shit.
Yeah.
Every single one of the 12 flavours that we've done in the as fuck range ain't going to write your calls off. None of them are going to fuck your calls up. And I can do an excessively sweet, sugar-loaded, off its bastard range of liquids. And then you've got the same people who vape a bloody smoke tank at 190 watts going, fucking calls are shit, man. Your fucking calls are shit. Your calls ain't shit, mate. You're fucking vaping shit. That's your problem.
Yeah.
But when I say that, I know people are going, oh, you just want to make loads of dough on your liquid. You just want to make loads of dough on your liquid. Dale now sells his latest 100 mils for 20 quid. That's what we sell them for. That's what they are industry-wide. We sell them for 19.99 because we do that whole 99 pensing at the end of everything that we sell. I think James sells them for 20 quid. Dale sells them for 20 quid. Gray sell them for 20 quid if they're stocky. But it's £20 across the board for 100 mil. Plus your nick shots, so 22 quid, 23 quid, depending on what you're selling nick shots for 120 mil of liquid. You go back 2 years, 120 mil of liquid was going to knock you back 40 quid, 50 quid.
Oh, it's easy.
Now, then, people were making way too much money. That is the truth of it. The margins were completely excessive. And because the margins were so excessive and because the vapors didn't have the choice, they paid it. But that says it was the manufacturers that were making excess amounts of money because we were still buying it at a reasonable wholesale price. So even though our margin's still the same and we were making more money, our margin percentage was still only the same. So if I spend £1,000 on liquid or £1,000 on hardware, my margin's got to be a certain level just for us to make money to pay the bills and cover the overheads and pay the staff. When the manufacturers are manufacturing that liquid and wholesaling it at a price where it now retails, millions and millions and millions of pounds were made. Millions. And the same people are up in arms now saying, fuck, you know, people are making too much dough on liquid. They're not now. And
Not
yet,
like they used to be known, man.
I've seen people saying, I got offered from a wholesale. I'm not even going to mention their name because they're a bunch of motherfuckers. But I got offered 100 mil short fill with 2 nick shots, wholesale price, £2.80.
Fucking hell.
I don't know what the fuck's in that bottle for £2.80. Because a bottle and a lid and a label is going to cost you at least 30 pence, and that's if you're buying them in big numbers. For a 100 ml bottle, you're going to pay more than 30 pence for a 120 ml chubby style bottle, even if it's a clone bottle and not an authentic chubby bottle. So even if you say conservatively, you've got to buy the bottle and the label and have the label printed for 30, 40 pence. Then you've got 2 nick shots that have both got a 10 ml bottle and a label. Now, again, you're going to pay 15 pence for a bottle with the label on it. So you've got 60 pence worth of bottles on £2.30. You take that off, you're left with £1.70. For £1.70, some cunts used 120 mils worth of product, whatever nicotine's required for the 2 shots, the concentrates required for them 2 shots. They've mixed it, they filled the bottle, they fucking drove it to the distributor or sent it by shipment. The fucking distributor is still making money at £2 fucking 30. What shit have they got in that bottle, mate? Because I wouldn't stock it. I wouldn't stock it, and I wouldn't.
Well, that's scary. That is scary. That you think that bottle of liquid? Fuck, I wouldn't even want to think about what's in that liquid.
I've seen a post today again. It's normally UK vape trades. It seems to be where most of the people hanker for a deal. Now, obviously, there's some deals that are done because people are getting rid of end of lines or they've got a new range coming out or whatever else. And you will see liquids at ridiculous price. Even us, when Ace of Apes went from 10 mils to 60 mil, 50 mil short fills, we sold the 10 mils used to sell for 20 quid, which was the industry standard price for 60 mil of liquid. Now, obviously, they were filling 6 bottles, capping 6 bottles, labelling 6 bottles, pouring it inside a big fucking chubby bottle, labelling the chubby bottle and selling it for the same price as one 60 ml bottle of liquid they used to previously sell.
Yeah.
TPD come out and they had to start doing this whole thing. So they're filling 6 bottles, putting 7 bottles in the mix, labelling 7 bottles, capping 7 bottles. Everything changed, but they still maintain their £20 resale price for 60ml, which would suggest that they're making probably too much margin in the first place to be able to swallow that extra cost. But they did swallow it, which means their margins changed, but the consumer still got their £20 deal on 60ml. Now what's happened is 60mls have come down across the board roughly to 15 quid for that same level of product. So the flawless stuff, the Ace of Vape stuff, Dale 60mls retailing at around about the £15 mark. Then you've got 100ml short fills retailing at 20 to 24. I mean, I think Dr. Frosty's $24.99 for 100ml. Plus your Nick shot, so you're back up to 27, 28 quid. And people are up in arms over the cost of it. And then I'll see posts on the daily saying I bought 7 bottles of 160,000 litres off this geezer for 7 quid. It tastes like fucking shit. I'm like, what the fuck did you expect? I don't know what you expect.
The worst thing for me that makes you worry is that, for me personally, I don't know anybody else, and it's definitely probably for yourself. I know what I'm inhaling from a decent place. Yes, whatever you inhale into your body is not meant to be inhaled. I get that. But I'd rather know it's come from a clean, safe place than someone's fucking backroom.
You know what? Absolutely. For me, it's not about. If I'm buying a 60ml bottle of liquid and I'm using it in a sub-ohm tank, I don't even know how much that consumes because I'm using that fucking thing every day. But if you're using 60ml a week, I don't know. I don't know what the usage is. I know when I was on a mech, I could use fucking 60ml in a night, some nights.
In a day, yeah.
But if you're using a smock tank at fucking 50 or 60 watts or something like that, I'd imagine.
You're probably doing about 10ml a day, aren't you?
Yeah, so I mean 60ml is going to last you a week, give or take. And if that costs you 15 quid and you were smoking 20 fags a day, you're still well saving dough. But people have gone past that conversion of cigarettes to vaping costs. And they're now into, like, I need this as cheap as I possibly can. Now, the flip side of that is, Tom, I've always smoked Benson and Edges, or I smoked Embassy No. 1, or I smoked Silk Cuts, and they were the most expensive fags in the shop, but the only fags that I liked. And even if I was fucking skint, and there was many times that I never ever bought cheap cigarettes. I don't buy cheap red sauce. I don't buy fucking. No, I mean, now there's things that I wouldn't. I don't buy fucking cheap.
I've got it for you. Red sauce.
I don't buy cheap cereal.
Beans.
I don't buy cheap bread. I don't buy cheap beans. I don't buy cheap sauce. I would go to Aldi gladly and buy my meat from Aldi. I would not buy Aldi sauce. I don't even give a fuck if it's bottled in the same factory as the other ketchup. I know what sauce I like, and that's what I like. I don't want a fucking 40p loaf of bread. I want a loaf of Warburtons because that's what I like. And I was the same with my fags. I'm the same with food. That's me. There's people out there that would break open 10 dog ends and roll it into a fucking Rizzler and smoke it because it's a fag. It's something to smoke. The same people will vape dog piss.
Yeah. Something
to vape. And on that basis, I don't decry them for doing it. But then don't moan that it's fucking your calls up. Your tank's leaking because it's actually fucking 60-40, not 80-20. And all these other things that go along with it. I don't even comment on them posts anymore, mate, because as a retailer, everyone just assumes I'm trying to justify my excessive pricing. My pricing, margin-wise, is pretty much the same throughout the whole of our business. So if I can buy a liquid for $5.50, I'm going to retail it for somewhere between 11 and 12 quid. That's the margin that our business needs to sustain. Yes, we're making a profit, but also there's a big overhead to covering the 2 shops and the staff, etc., etc. I'm not here to do that. That's just business generally. People, depending on what industry you're in, are operating on a 50%-ish margin. Now, we're probably doing I don't even know what our gross profit is. I ain't got a fucking clue. And nor am I going to discuss it on fucking Facebook or YouTube, but that is roughly the margin that the business works at. Now, if I get a bargain of a liquid I don't then go, oh, you know what? It's still worth 20 quid, man. I sell it for what I need to sell it for.
Yeah.
The only time I check any other competitor's website isn't so I can undercut them. It's so if I've had this product off them, I can price match them. So I'm not undercutting them because I've never been that person, genuinely. Because, as I said half an hour ago, 15% of our business is done online. So I'm not cutting my throat to satisfy a very small percentage of people in the industry. And although there's 20,000 strong on Facebook that vape, or 25,000 or whatever that community grew to, it's a fucking fraction. It's not even the tip of the iceberg, mate. It's the very, very top of the iceberg that the penguin shits on. It's that tiny, tiny little bit at the top.
Yeah.
And I'm not ruining our business. I'm not fighting over the business. I'm not getting involved with these people that are selling it from their mum's back bedroom, fucking making £1 a bottle because he adds an extra 60 quid a week to their benefits. That's not what we're doing. It's not what we've ever done. No, I don't even mean that in like a joking way. There's people out there that if they can make £100 a week on top of whatever money they've got by buying and selling liquids, £100 a week to some people is a lot of money.
Yeah.
£100 to me personally doesn't pay one of my staff's wages.
Yeah, exactly.
So I can't sell it for that much money. And all the people that are moaning and pushing that industry down a certain path will be the same people moaning when shops are shutting and they can't get their shit anymore, and they end up having to buy from Morrison's, Asda, and all them other corporations off the next biggest corrupt corporation, which is Big Tobacco, at extortionate prices. Because trust me, they can sell blue pens for £1 and suck people in. They're doing it for a fucking reason.
Yeah.
Because when they've got you hooked on your fucking vape, and when you're into a pod system that's nice and clean and it's easy and it's easier than changing coils and it's blah, 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 you wait and see how much you start paying for pods in 2 and 3 years' time when you can't come into my shop and buy a bottle of liquid.
Yeah, that's the main thing for me as well is and people can disagree with me or agree with me or whatnot, but you are that people who are doing that to sort of make a quid and do this, do the other, and people that are buying them liquids, to me, is in a very small way destroying the industry themselves, because you are getting rid of people who have invested time and money and effort into brick and mortars. And then all of a sudden, because John blogs down road selling the bottle £5 cheaper because he's not got no electricity bill or any overheads, he's now fucking industry. And as soon as he can't get hold of it, we're all fucked. So you fucking industry yourself, really, aren't you?
It's one of the maddest industries. I've been involved in various businesses for 25 years since I was a little youth, and this is one of the maddest industries that's so consumer driven. And it's like it's like me and the Ace of Apes. We've obviously had many meetings about our liquids. We've discussed pricing and everything else. And as much as it's in my interest to drive that price down as cheap as I can so we make as much money as we can, there was 2 reasons for me trying to drive the price down. But the main reason was to make our retail prices competitive as we could in the market that we're in at the moment. I also know that by me cutting Mark's throat at Ace of Apes for that price of liquid, if that drives him out of business and I can no longer buy liquid off him, I'll fuck both of us by trying to fuck him.
Yeah.
And anyone who's in business knows that the two parties have got to have some sort of mutual benefit from any sort of business proposition. Now, in our shop, the other party of our business is our customer.
Yeah.
Like you got people moaning now saying, oh, you can't buy fucking fresh bread. Greggs are shutting down left, right and centre. Greggs are shutting down for 2 reasons. One, because they're actually very, very clever in what they've done. I mean, Greggs ain't no longer a baker's. It's a fast food restaurant.
Yeah.
And it's switched to a fast food restaurant without any cunts even noticing.
Yeah.
And it's not a baker's. We've got Greggs by us that don't even sell a loaf of fucking bread anymore.
Yeah, and they've all got chairs in there and you can sit down and you can have
a loaf of bread in the Greggs by us. And she said to us, the only time we'll sell a loaf of bread is if we've got any left for the sandwiches that we should be making to sell. Now, actually, you went into a Greggs 2 years ago and they sold fresh bread and they sold this type of loaf and that type of loaf, and you could have it fucking sliced or unsliced, and they sold cobs and they sold donuts because they've always sold donuts. And they've always sold sausage rolls. It's switched into a fast food restaurant, and it's become consumer driven. And they've gone that way because that's what people want. And the Greggs that was opposite our shop in Yardley, because he didn't turn over more than £1 million a year, they pulled the plug on it because that's what they needed to sustain that type of business. So because all of them are changing over to this fast food type shop, they didn't feel that one was worth it. They shut the shop. The people that have worked in there for 40 years has fucking made it out of a job. Every country, I might as well start selling fresh bread in the shop because everyone comes out, whoa, fucking hell, as if Greggs has gone. The fuck am I supposed to get me bread from? But they're the same sort of people that would go, I'm not even going to Greggs anymore because I can buy a loaf in Asda now and it's only 99p. Greggs, it's £2. And when they self-implode the industry, it's only themselves they're fucking, because at some point, the only place you can buy bread from is Asda or Morrison's. And then at that point, they go, you know what, put the bread up to 2.50. They've got two fucking choices then. They can buy it or fuck you. And that's what that happens with every single industry ever. The only thing is, because food in particular is a very, very, very cutthroat business, we'll always get a bargain. But there's lots of industries out there that, because the consumer drove it to a point where only the very strongest survived, once they've survived, they can fucking pitch where they like, and you've got two choices. You can buy off them or you can go fuck yourself because there's no more options. And that's what's happening with this industry. Now, I hope and pray that very, very quickly the short film market gets regulated. I don't think they should stop it. I don't understand ever why 10ml bottles was a restriction. It's one of my biggest things with the whole of the TPD. I don't understand 2ml tanks being a fucking thing when you can buy 10ml liquid. It doesn't make no difference whether the 10ml's inside the bottle or inside the fucking tank. It's crazy to me. It doesn't make any sense. However, no regulation on short fills is disaster for this industry for various reasons. And one of the main things is, you guys out there that think you're getting a bargain have not got a clue what you're fucking vaping on. And anyone that, I've seen lots of people, mate, in this industry that are involved in liquid manufacture, involved in retail, involved in wholesale, involved in distribution, trying to fight the corner of the liquid price. And all they ever get off most fucking idiots is, oh, you just want to make more fucking dough. Actually, sometimes it's a bit more, there's a bit more to it than just about the money. And one of them is, you don't even know what the fuck you're vaping on. And actually, when you've got cancer in 15 years' time, I'm the cunt that'll get the finger pointed at. I'm saying, whoa, you were one of the fucking market leaders in the UK. As we were one of the first companies in the UK, along with a few others, to get our feet stuck into this and say, you know what, let's move this industry forward. Even now, I mean, when I started again 6 years ago, it's not a long time, but the industry's changed hugely in 6 years, hugely. And one of the things that's changed is it's become a money-orientated business, where back then it weren't about the money, it was actually about the passion of vaping and understanding vaping.
The money was the bonus, money was bonus.
Yeah, it was an absolute bonus for us, Tom. And even to this day, money's not what drives me to do more shit day to day. It really is. And I like the fact that we're successful. I like the fact we do our thing. I like the fact that we've launched a mod and we've got a name and people understand who we are and where we're from. And all them things mean more to me than how much money's in the bank. Genuinely, that's absolute truth. But because the business has become so money driven, it's got people involved in this industry that don't give a fuck about the industry. They only give a fuck about the profit. And on that basis, the people that are out there buying the products are buying shit. Yeah. And they've convinced themselves that we're selling overpriced goods. We're not. We're selling proper goods. And there's a big, big difference. And I don't know how that ever changes, ever. I really don't.
I don't think it's looked at like that, though. You know what I mean? Where you're saying it, I honestly don't think it's looked like that. And that's not down to anybody else but the consumer. The fact is, that's the way they've looked at it, and that's the way they currently look at it. Is the fact is that, yeah, I'm getting it cheap. That's the way it should be. When I don't know what I'm fucking vaping, I'm not spending 20 quid on 100ml. Fuck that. I can go to fucking Joe Blogs down street, get 200ml off him for fucking 15 quid, and I'll be happy, and I'll just vape that. And that is 100% down to the consumer. It's not anybody that's running business. It's not anybody going, oh, we'll just price hike it. fuck me, as we said earlier. Did you ever sell BFB in the shop? That 240ml bottle of juice, and it were like 60 quid, 70 quid.
I sold One It Wonder.
One It Wonder were first ones to do the big bottles, weren't they?
180ml, 65 quid. 180 mil.
Try and charge someone that now.
And I had a fucking queue outside the shop, mate, like I was giving shit away. I swear, I was talking about someone the other day about that liquid in particular, and I remember I bought. They launched the strawberry one, apple cinnamon. I think they just have them two flavors to start off with,
and a blueberry one.
The blueberry, whatever that was. So they had 3 flavors, and I remember I bought 10 bottles of each, thinking, fucking hell, 10 bottles of each of that is like 6 litres of liquid. 6 litres in the 10 mils is 6,000 fucking bottles. You know what I mean? And I'm like, what the fuck, man? Who the fuck's going to buy this for 65 quid a pop? And then, like, David phoned me and go, mate, we've sold out of the fucking strawberry, mate. We've sold out of the apple, mate. We've sold out of the blueberry. And I'm back onto the wholesalers going, get me fucking another 20 bottles of each of that in. And people messaging me, mate, have you got One It Wonder? Have you got One It Wonder? Have you got One It Wonder? And I'm like, yeah, it's in tomorrow. And people would be queuing around the shop. And then we put a post up at 8:30 when we shut, say we've only got 7 bottles of fucking strawberry left. And at 9 o'clock when we open, mate, there was people waiting outside for it for 65 quid a pop.
Try selling it at that price now.
I can't even imagine having a liquid in the shop that was 65 quid, even if it was a fucking 2.5 gallon drum. I can't, because people just don't buy that. It's mad. It's mad that 100 ml is the cheapest it's ever been retail for what's considered, I don't like saying premium juice, but actually a premium manufactured juice.
Could we, I don't know if we could call it, could we call it cleaner juice?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Premium manufacture. I know it's manufactured right. I know it's manufactured in the right conditions. I know it's manufactured using the right products. On that basis, £20 for 100 ml at this minute in time seems like a fair and reasonable price to me personally. And yet, people still now come in and say, "Do you not do that in a 50 ml?" But we're launching as fucking 30 ml short fills, so there'll be 20 ml of liquid. You'll put a 10 ml shot in it. You'll have 30 ml of liquid. I think they're going to retail at $7.99 a bottle, or there'll be a price for 2, a price for 3. So it's still at 8 quid for 1, at 15 quid for 2, or 8, maybe 8 for 1, 14 for 2, 20 for 3. You're still sort of there or thereabouts in line with the fucking 50 ml, 100 ml short fill, but you've got the option of 3 flavours. Now, what we will do is after that, we will launch it in a 50 ml short fill. I'm not going to do a 100 ml short fill. We've got the Birmingham Fog. I've just had the samples yesterday. So the samples of the bottling and the labelling.
Will AF come as 30 ml if you don't use Nick? No, it's going to come as a 20 ml in it.
It's going to come as it's going to be a 20 ml liquid, and it's $7.99. And if you have a Nick shot or a filler, it's a penny.
And explain the filler.
So the filler is a 0 milligram VG, because if you imagine you're putting in 33% of VG with a Nick shot. You try and vape that as a 0, and it's just the ratios are just as shit, because it's designed in mind with 30 ml of product.
Yeah.
So if you want it 0 milligram, you'll get the filler for a penny. If you want a 3 milligram, you'll buy a 9 milligram Nick shot for a penny. If you want a 6 milligram, you can put an 18 milligram in there for a penny. And the reason why we've done it that way is because it's important that extra 10 ml of product goes in there.
And did you hear that? How much is it for a filler or a Nick shot?
A penny.
There you go.
So so on the basis of that, if you imagine a 50 ml short fill at the moment is 15 quid. Most places are charging £1, £1.50 for a Nick shot at retail. So you're at £16.50. So we're looking for 60 ml. So we're looking at $7.99 plus a penny for 30 ml. $14.99 plus a penny for 60 ml. So we're actually cheaper than you in essence, you're getting your Nick shots free. compared to the equivalent in the other liquids, and then maybe £21 for 3 with the Nick shots. So again, then you're getting 90 ml of liquid for 21 quid. You're currently going to pay. Well, I don't know. We sort out whatever way that pricing works anyway. If you don't want nicotine in it, you still will get a filler of some nature. So on our website, it will be £7.99 plus a penny to choose between your 0 milligram, your 9 milligram, your 18 milligram. The other good thing about the 30 ml chubber is that for the first time in a long time, you can do a short fill in a 6 milligram. And obviously, the 6 milligram vapors got fucked to one side during the whole of the TPD thing, because you can make it 6 milligram, but actually you end up having to put more Nick shots in that's needed for the dilution rate of the product that was there to start off with, and you'll never quite get the 6 milligram right. And also, you're also depleting the product. So
I also think, honestly, 30 mils were forgot about. And the reason people used to buy 30 mils, and I remember I used to buy 30 mils, is because I'd like to try a juice and finish a bottle before I went out and bought a big bottle. I think that was also forgot as well.
You know what? We seen 30 ml chubbies about probably 3 months ago, 4 months ago, before I'd seen them anywhere. And I said to Tash, I want to do our liquid in 30 ml. And she was like, what? Now, you know what? To be honest, mate, we are making less money selling them at £7.99 or 2 for 15 quid than if I sold a 50 ml for 13 quid. Because the price of the bottle is, for 2 of them, is more expensive than one 60 ml bottle.
Yeah.
Not only that, you've got to fill 2 bottles, you've got to label 2 bottles, you've got to cap 2 bottles. So actually, the manufacturing and to squirt 30 ml of liquid, 20 ml of liquid in, or 50 ml of liquid in is neither here nor fucking there.
Yeah,
doesn't really make that much fucking difference. So all the cost is in the bottle and the actual filling process, going through the machine. So our margin on them is less than doing 50s. Our margin on 50s is less than doing 100s, because the liquid is actually fairly insignificant to the process of filling the bottle. So if we put 100 ml of liquid in a 120 chubber, it's way, way cheaper than doing 4 30 mils by a long, long way. But I still believe that the consumer wants more choice.
Oh, 100%.
They can spend 20 quid and they can get 3 flavours to try is better than spending 20 quid on one flavour that they might not like. Now,
that's the thing for me. It's giving them the option to be able to, and I can put this to chat. I personally would rather buy 5 bottles of liquid at 30 mils and try the whole range and spend the same money that I could be doing buying 2.
Absolutely. I think what we'll do is we're going to launch it in 30 mil chubbies. We're only doing 4 flavours per range. The most popular ones in them ranges will get converted into a 50 mil short fill. For the people that know that they like that juice, they want that juice, and therefore they can buy it cheaper than they can buy in 2 30 mil chubbies. So if we're doing 2 30 mil chubbies with Nick shots for 15 quid or whatever it is, and we can do it with Nick shots for 12.50 or 13 quid, you might only save a few quid, but if it's a liquid that you like, it's a few quid well saved. And people's habits in the shop have just changed completely. Just changed. We still sell 10 ml bottles of high VG liquid in our shady vaping range that we've sold from day one. And we still sell a hell of a lot of 10 ml VGs. A hell of a lot. More now than what we were 12 months ago when big bottles was the thing to do. But actually, back in the day, mate, we used to, like, people would come in and have, well, it was obviously 3 for a tenner or whatever it was. They'd have 30 quid and buy 9 bottles of liquid. 90 ml for 30 quid.
And then they'll come back and spend 9 bottles of the same liquid because they like that one liquid and they're being able to try 9 different fucking flavours.
Well, that's the thing. And I think the thing with the 30 ml is, obviously, modern vaping now, 30 ml doesn't last very long. Most people are using some sort of sub-ohm device. These liquids are designed for sub-ohm devices. We've got the even as fuck range coming out, which is a 50-50 available in 3, 6, and 12 milligram, which is designed for mouth-to-lung vaping. Now, the other thing that we're looking at doing is we've got I know one of your subjects, which this sort of links straight into, is about DIY mixing.
Yes, I did. I want to know about DIY. Yeah.
We'll straight into that on the back of talking about liquid prices and everything else. I personally think DIY liquid is going to become bigger by the end of this year than it's ever been. And one of the things that we're doing is we're looking at ways of doing our nick shot or our filler in a different ratio to give you a different ratio. So instead of adding a 10 mil filler that makes it an 80-20-0 or a 9 milligram filler that makes it 3 milligram 80-20, you might want a 3 milligram 50-50.
Yeah.
So actually, we'll do a PG nick shot. And if you put 10 mil of PG in a 20 mil mix, it actually works out at about 52-48, which is neither here nor there. It's a 50-50 as close as fuck it. And if you want a 50-50 6 milligram, bang an 18 milligram PG shot in there.
Yeah, because that's what I was going to question. Because obviously, with like you nick shots and stuff, you're necessarily mixing yourself, but there's nothing out there that offers it as a kit. So like having a concentrate, having a base.
Quite a lot of people, Tom, that are on it now. We've got easy as fuck coming out, which is VG, PG, concentrates, nick shots, and a leaflet that will say use that sort. So you might buy a 250 ml bottle that contains, what would it contain?
Well, it contained the base mix, wouldn't it?
Well, it will contain the base mix less the nick shots, less the concentrate.
Yeah.
Now, again, on 250 ml, you're going to turn that into 300 ml.
Yeah.
You're going to add 5 nick shots. 18 milligram will give you a 3 milligram liquid, which is the same as adding 1 to the 50. So you end up with, if you had 250 ml of product made up with the concentrate, you'd then put in 5 18 milligram nick shots. That'll give you 300 milliliters at 3 milligram.
Yeah.
So if you have 300 ml of made up product is probably going to have somewhere in the region of 60 milligram of concentrate, approximately at a 20% ratio. So you're going to have 100. So you might buy a 300 ml bottle that contains 170 ml of VG.
Yeah.
You put 60 ml of concentrate in of whatever the fuck you like. 5 nick shots, give it a shake. You've got 300 milligram of a liquid that you've made at 3 milligram. So that's what we're doing. That's what the easiest fuck range will be about. We might do it in 150 ml bottles that makes up half of that mix, and then do 300 ml bottles. And you can buy concentrates. You'll be able to buy Coolada. You'll be able to buy menthol. You'll be able to. So if you want a fucking, you mix your normal liquid and then drop 10 drops of cool as fuck in there, it'll turn it into a Coolada style liquid.
I do like that, and I think that's another thing that has been forgotten about. So I think that's a great thing, because then it does give the opportunity to make your own personal mix. So going back to the whole theory of DIY, is it dead? Well, obviously, as we can see, it's
I think far from dead, I do, and I think it became dead because that man. I mean, we used to sell VG, PG concentrates. We used to sell 72 milligram nicotine in the shop in 100 ml bottles. We used to sell fucking half-litre bottles of VG, half-litre bottles of PG. We used to sell concentrates at a time where we didn't even need to, because people couldn't fucking buy enough pre-made liquid. And then with TPD coming in and manufacturers having to completely change the whole model of their business to cater for short fill, it's sort of got forgotten about again. Actually, if you look at all of the big boys, they're all starting to bring out some sort of, I've noticed Dale Yest's bringing out traits, which is concentrates.
Yeah.
But actually, I want to do more than just concentrates. I do actually, I do want to do something where you literally buy click that, and put it all together, shake it in a bottle, and you'll fucking have 300 ml of liquid made up to a certain.
Yeah, you can make it to your own sort of mix. So if you wanted it 70-30, you can have it 70-30.
What I want to try and do is say, right, if you want, like, if you're starting off with, if you're finishing with 300 ml and you're starting off with 170 ml of Vija, if everything you put in there thereafter is concentrate and PG, as close as fuck it, you're probably at 45, 55 then. The trouble with doing it that way is you cannot get a 12 milligram liquid. You just can't. The most you can get is, well, 3 milligram in that essence. Because you can't. Well, you can get 4 milligram because you could use 20 milligram nick shots.
Yeah.
So you could actually do a 4 milligram mix.
It's just having that availability to be able to do your own style, because it isn't out there. It's either 10 ml bottles with 6, 12, 18 milligram, or 60 ml bottle with 3 milligram in. As you said earlier, there's no fucking availability for 6 milligram. 6 milligrams are well gone. I'm just laughing in chat because you made a mouth fart and everyone's thinking you dropped a bomb. You went like that.
I haven't farted now, but if I did, I'm 42 years old and I'm sat in my own house, and if I want to fart, I'll fucking.
Well, we could go on to the last subject, and it may be a bit of an old subject. Maybe we're out of the loop for maybe a week or whatever. You know what I mean? You fucking turn around and there's something fucking changed in this industry. But I wanted to discuss the Tony B and Vupu. It's not necessarily the incident that I want to talk about. It's people dealing with other product manufacturers and not having the best of times. Should we put it like that? And as we know, Paul, yourself, you are a manufacturer and you deal with an external manufacturer and you give your designs to them and they make the product, and that's how it happens. I want to know what your thoughts are of him sending over his designs and getting royally fucked.
You know what? I have dealt with China now for right from the start, 6 years, and our first Endless was produced by a company that made clone mods, made some of the best clone mods we'd ever bought, and I deal with the same agent day in, day out, day in, day out. So I got to the point where I said, look, could you manufacture a mod for us? And they manufactured our first sleeve mods. They manufactured the first batch of V2 sleeve mods. They manufactured the very first batch of clean mods that we had made. And what happened was the minute that they feel like they've got you in their pocket, they start trying to fuck you. Now, we spent, I would say in the first 6 months, we probably spent somewhere in the region of £100,000 with them. That's just on Endless at a time, mate, where we were spending 100 grand a month on clone, buying it in. We were selling a huge amount of product, and they give me a price, and we agree the price, and I get the product in, and we sold the first 100, and then we ordered another 300 or 500. I can't remember. I started off whereby ultimately I'm saying to them, look, this is obviously a brand new thing for me. I feel like I'm in a position where I can probably get a mod to market. I feel like I've got the backing of the people around me. I feel like I've got enough clout in the industry to put this to market and hopefully do something with it. But I'm not going to punt on 500 mods. Now, I've spoke to literally hundreds of manufacturers in China since, because the minute that Endless become a thing, every single man and the dog want to manufacture it for us. Now, I deal with Coinbright on a regular basis. Coinbright do not make my mod for me. But the company that started making the mod for us, which was Rulian, which was a Chinese cloning company, and they do make quality clones. Basically what they started doing was, I went to them and said, look, I want to do 100 mods. And they were like, well, you can't do 100 mods. And I said, look, if we can get this right, then we can spend a lot of money. I don't even know what I've spent on Endless in 2.5 years' time. I would imagine in excess of 300,000, 400,000, 500,000 pounds. I don't know, a lot of money. And obviously that's made us money. However, they've made a huge amount of money out of us. And I ordered 100. We sold out overnight. I get back on the fucking message to China. I'm like, I need to order another. We'll go for 300. Oh, no, it's got to be 500. No, I don't want 500. I want 300. It needs to be 500. Well, fuck you then. Okay, fuck you. And then 2 days, and then literally I was like, you know what, fuck this, man. I'm not getting my pants tucked down right from the get-go. Then 2 days later, they're on the message going, oh, sorry, Mr. Paul, we do 300 mods. All right, insane. Do 300 mods. So the 300 mods come in and we start selling them. Bearing in mind, mate, we went balls deep with, we only had 100 mods made, but we kicked off with 12 different coloured sleeves, 12 different coloured single sleeves, 12 different coloured stack sleeves, 12 different coloured RDAs, on top of the RDAs we'd had made, on top of the decks we'd had made, on top of the mods we'd had made, and then we were ordering another 300 kits that were full kits with RDAs. Plus, we bought out the V2 top cap, so I completely fucking scrapped the first lot, which we still got down the shop, which I'd spent thousands of pounds on. And then I was like, you know what, I want to do the clean mod. And in fact, we had the hourglass mod, which I've got one mod in this house, which was like a timekeeper before I'd ever seen a timekeeper. And when I seen the timekeeper, I decided not to do it. But I was like, do me a very straight, clean mod, 24mm at the top, 25mm at the bottom, so it uses our existing switch set, and do me one that's got some slight taper in the body. And they sent me the samples, and we went with the clean mod. And I was like, right, I want. Obviously, back then we'd always met copper. I don't met copper anymore because I don't believe it's sought after by enough people to do it, and I cannot get 100 mods made anymore. So, you know what I mean? It's you have to make 300 or 400 copper mods. It's a lot of mods to take on the chin when people ain't buying copper. So I've shied away from it. But back then we were making copper, we were making brass, we had the silver plated, we had the black colour change, and I think the clean mod we ordered 1,000 mods to kick off with, which was 250 copper. In fact, I've never done 300 copper, and we've done 700 brass. And out of them, in fact, I'm telling a fucking lie. I've done 300 brass and 600 copper, because the black colour change was copper, the silver plated was copper, the mod was copper, and 300 brass. So 1,000 mods, 1,000 hourglasses to suit, plus an extra 100 of each colour hourglass to have as an RDA only option. At the same time, we launched the V2 sleeve mod, which was a brand new deck, brand new top cap, different sleeves, 12 colours, and then they're like, oh yeah, the price has got to go up on these. Why? Well, just because. Now I went along with the order. I sort of negotiated with them the best that I could without fucking slapping some cunt. And I got it for a price where I was a bit like, you know what, I can do it at that price, although it's not right for us. The price weren't right. It weren't right enough for me to wholesale the product. We were struggling with the margins on there, but I was like, you know what, it's not necessarily about the money. When it wasn't, it was more about, I was really proud of the fact we'd achieved this whole thing with Endless. But we went to Expo, and as you know, that first Expo we'd done in the May, we sold out. It was a fucking mental weekend. We sold all the product. While I'm at Expo, I'm messaging China saying, we need to make more of these fucking mods. We've got fucking a few left. We've sold 1,000 mods in the week. In the weekend, it's fucking crazy. They put the price up again, and I was like, and they wanted 500 copper, and they wanted 500 brass, and they wanted 500 silver plated, and they wanted 500 fucking black colour change. And I was like, you know what, fuck you. Now, what happened was my agent, who I used to deal with through Rulian, her husband manufactures hardware. He got fucked over by Rulian as a manufacturer, and it took his
Chinese company doing another Chinese company over.
Basically, he used to manufacture clone products and sell them to Rulian, and then Rulian would put a markup on them, the same as, like, for instance, Rulian were the people that cloned the Limitless mod, and that they actually sold that product to Coinbright, and then Coinbright repackage it in Coinbright products and sell it as a product. But actually, it was Rulian was the only company in China at that point that had cloned the Limitless mod. But then people are going, oh, now Coinbright have cloned it as well. But I know 100% Coinbright are buying their product off Rulian and repackaging it and selling it out. And then there's certain mods that Coinbright made that Rulian repackaged and they sold out. Now, the bloke that made our second batch, actually what happened was, I was talking to my agent, and she says, look, my husband was doing this, and he made, I can't remember what clone he'd made, a big popular clone he'd done. And it was, in fact, it was the he made the ringers, the AV ringer clone, and he made the murdered out stacked clone.
Yeah.
And then, but he will make like 10,000 of them, and Rulian would buy them off him in one shot, and he literally might make 50 cents per mod, but it's a big order for him. So they'll take 20,000 mods, he'll make $10,000, which sounds like a lot of money, but it's fucking weeks worth of work to do that. Weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks worth of work. And then they fucked him over and it took his business. And then he got to a point where he bought one more machine. He started building himself back up. And she says, look, he wants to start himself. Would you be prepared to put Endless through him? And I says, make me some samples, get them out to me. And if you can match Rulian's quality and beat Rulian's price, then we'll go. 100% I'll change over and I'll support you, because actually you've supported me and you've done everything you could to help me get this up. And we've been with them ever since. And it's a very, very small manufacturing outlet. They employ 4 people. Last year, the back end of the year before and 6-7 months into last year, the only product they produced was Endless product, because we were ordering that much shit off them. And then as soon as we go quiet, she will message me and say, we want to clone X mod. Have you got any requirement before we start working on it? Because when we start working on this, we're going to make 20,000 of them.
Yeah.
Because Coinbright are now buying them off me, and Rulian are still buying them off me, and X is buying them off me. So we need to make 20,000 of them to make this project pay for us. Bearing in mind, they might make 1,000 mods for me at the time. So when people say to me, "Oh, you're using a clone company, man. You're paying clone money for them," I can buy a clone setup for less than half of the price of what an Endless cost me. Less than half of the price, because we're not doing 20,000 runs of it anymore. I mean, we just ain't got that call for that amount of mods. But our quality is better than it's ever been. When we had that issue with the AFCs on the Slammums, from the day of me messaging them saying, what the fuck have you done to these AFCs? They're not right. They're earthing out on the post. 7 days later, we had 2,500 AFCs delivered to the shop from China. 7 days later, in 8 colour options, in brass, in copper, in stainless, in silver plated, in anodized. They've done them. They've done whatever that's to do to get it to me. I wouldn't get that level of service out of Coinbright, because the reality is, if we were spending £500,000 a year with Coinbright, on the level of business that they do, we're a fucking small fish in a massive pond. Where we are at the moment, we're a fairly big fish to them. And they care about what we do. They care about what they do. They do a huge amount of design work for us, even down to like the top caps. If I send them a design, he'll send me a picture of one that he's made exactly to my design, and he'll send me another picture saying, this is your design, but I've changed this and that, and I think it looks better because it's in proportion. 9 times out of 10, he's right. Now, Coinbright would just say, yep, that's your drawing. Bam, there's 2,000 of them. I'll get them and go, oh, shit, you don't look as good as I thought. Where he's got a little bit about him enough to, like you said to me earlier about the V2 Hourglass that we're doing for the new mod. It's going to be like a V2 Hourglass, but it's going to have AFC, and it's going to have 2-way AFC, so dual core air control, single coil air control. Now, we can probably make that. In fact, 100% we can make it lower than the Emma, because the inside of the Emma is domed and the inside of that one's flat. So actually we can bring it down lower. The trouble is, when you start coming down lower than the actual width, it starts knocking the proportion of the RDA to shit.
Yeah.
So I said to you, it might be a little bit bigger than the Emma. Not for any other reason. It doesn't have to be bigger, but it won't look right. And actually the aesthetics are as important as its performance, in my opinion. So just getting the squattest RDA to work isn't always the case. It's got to look right. Now, I've said to him today, I haven't even sent him a drawing. I said, look, I want a V2 Hourglass. I want it AFC controlled. I want it lower, but I want it to look right on that mod. Do a couple, send them to me tomorrow. Eat their machine, and they'll be awake in another 3.5, 4 hours, and they'll be on the machines. By the time I get into work tomorrow, I should have some physical product that they've made overnight that they'll send me pictures of. All that will get posted out to me probably on Friday. I'll get it Wednesday next week. I can fuck about with the prototype, send you one up, have a play with them, fuck about with them, decide what we want changing ASAP. We've got to get this product in the UK by the 1st, 2nd of March. So we've got it for a few days for Expo on the 5th, 6th and 7th, or the 4th, 5th and 6th, or whenever it fucking is. So we're under a massive time restraint to get this product in again. And every time that we do these fucking expos, we're chasing our ass to get the product in because I want to get it right. And they've sent me them drawings that I've showed tonight, and the actual product of the new mod looks fine. Until I've got it in my hand and I'm satisfied it's fine, I can't give them the go ahead, because if it's wrong, it's more money.
Yeah.
So it's just about getting it right, really. So my experience of dealing with China on that level has been a good one, and I believe we found the best person to manufacture our products for me. I know for a fact I can get to Coimbrite and get that product done cheaper. Would I get the same level of customer service out of them? Probably not. Although Coimbrite hound me on the regular to take that work off the current manufacturer, to the point where I'm looking at the prices that they're offering, saying I probably should do this. That said, they've been that good to me and done these smaller batches for us at the start and helped us get to a situation where the batch size is less important to us financially now. Where I don't really want to take the business away from them, because actually I trust what they do.
I think that's the thing. To be honest, it sounds like you dropped on quite well with them. You know what I mean? I think it sounds like you, I won't say lucky, but on the scale that we're manufacturing, and then you go back to this Tony B manufacturing with fucking whoever he is, he's doing 40,000. They're literally just ripping his fucking ass, and he's not getting that customer satisfactory from the manufacturing point of view, because they're literally going, yeah, fuck it, we'll just do it anyway. See, I think we the Endless have quite kind of fallen on well with the manufacturer that.
Yeah, and you know what? I would not change Endless's manufacturing for price alone now. Actually, I'm happy that we're a big enough part of what they do for them to know that we're important to them. And that works both ways for both of us. I don't fuck them around because I'm getting a good service and a good product at a reasonable price. They don't fuck me around because they can't afford to lose my business overnight.
Yeah.
On that base, it works for both of us. I'm happy what they do. I've got to a point, mate, whereby even with the Emmy mods, they were working around the clock to get them shit out to me before Chinese New Year. And she messaged me and she says, we've sent the 100 of each of you as you've requested. There's about 35 Rainbow Neos that I'm not happy with. I've sent them, so you've got the product. I'm not happy with them, but they're in a different box, marked up. Check them. If you're not happy, let me know, and obviously we'll sort them out. And he wasn't happy. But the fact is, other companies would just mix them in with the mods, mate, and just say, yeah, we've fully checked them. They're brilliant. Fucking send them out, sell them out. Da, 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 da. If she's not happy with something now, no matter how much pressure I'm putting her under, she don't give a fuck, mate. She's telling me you're not having your shit. I know when you get it, you're going to shout at me because I fucking do. And you're going to rip me a new arsehole because I do. So actually, I've learnt my lesson. If I'm not happy with it, I know you're not going to be happy with it. And on that basis, I'm not sending it to you. So tell your customers to fuck off. We'll get it out as quickly as we can. And I'd rather do that. I'd rather do it. We got into last May at Expo. iJoy approached me at the stand. You know, they came over. They spoke to me. I didn't approach them. They came and seen me. We just launched the Empress. Yes. My man flashing a 2700 mod at me like he's groundbreaking. And I was like, we've already got a 2700, mate. We're selling it now. Oh, this is our prototype. I said, well, ours is for sale. It's there if you want to fucking buy one. By October time last year, I'm balls deep into a fucking $3 million contract with them. And by November last year, they fucked me for 20 grand and stole my mod design. And two reasons why I didn't go public with it, mate. One is because I could spend as much time as I like being a whiny cunt. And I know there's enough people on Facebook to get on side with me and tell me how much of a fucking pack of cunts iJoy are. But it's not going to achieve nothing. It's not going to change the situation one iota.
Exactly.
And the second thing is, there's a hell of a lot of people on Facebook who'd have a right good snigger and a laugh at my expense of being fucked over for £20,000. And on that basis, I just chose to say, you know what, fuck it. We draw a line under the sand. We'll get on. We'll do the MES. I mean, they've bought out, I don't even know what their mod's called. They've bought out a 24 or 25 mil version of, in essence, what the ME is. It's not the same. It's not as good. I'm not saying that because it's not, because they've copied my idea of the top loading, the top switch. It's not right. You can't clean the contact on the mod. there's a join in the tube, so you actually take the body in half and stuff like that. And one of the reasons from doing that is part of our contract was that if I had any design input onto anything that they manufactured, we'd have worldwide royalties on the sale of that product, which could have amounted to a hell of a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
And when we sat down and spoke about that design, it wasn't even about them manufacturing it. I was just saying, look, I've got an idea for a switch that means that the mod itself can be very, very short. It can be very small. And the next time we sat down with a meeting with them, which was probably 4 weeks later, they present this mod to me and saying, oh, what do you think? And we've listened to what you've said. What do you think? And I says, in essence, yeah. Now, I think theirs was a 2700 and it's about the same size as an Emma for a 2700. But to achieve that, they've used a much thinner 510. They've used a contact that is fucking negligible, which drops everything down by the 5 mil extra of the battery.
The size, yeah.
It also means you cannot take the contact out of the mod to clean it. And the tube that their battery sits in is probably twice as long as our tube. So you can't even get in there to clean it. It's a pain in the arse. And I had one of these mods because they give me one. And I went back to them and said, look, I'm happy to work with you on this design. I'm happy to launch it as an Endless Joy product, a joint venture. Obviously, I want more than the royalties we've agreed on modification, because this ultimately is a design that I've put to you.
Yes.
And before you release it, this and this and this need to change. And basically come back and says, we're just running with this ourselves and fucking put it out there. And I was like, you know what? At that point, I was a bit like, fuck you and fuck the company and fuck everything. We'll do it ourselves. And actually, my intention was always to do it as a 22 mil mod on the basis that I know my understanding of the market is much better than iJoy's. I know that 100% because I've dealt with them. And what they were doing was going, 2700, it's all about the 2700. I was saying to them, you know what? We've done the 2700 and it's not all that. The battery's not as good as it should have been. We haven't got the 2700A, and maybe we were too premature with the whole 2700 thing, to the point where I've even considered bringing out the Empress. I don't know what's. I mean, we've got the Empress, we've got the Emperor. The Empire will be the 30 mil. What's smaller than an Empress? I don't know. To bring out an 18650 version of the Empress, just 18650. That's not a fucking 2700. To make it smaller, because I don't believe in the 2700 battery at this minute in time. But they were all about, this is the latest battery. It's going to set the world on fire and fucking rare, and that's what we're doing. I was like, listen, I want to go 22 mil. And I want the contact removable, and I want the sleeve shorts, and I want this, and I want that, and I don't want magnets in the top. I want a spring. I want a spring in there. I want it to be more mechanical than magnet, because the magnets were that thin to get that height. Actually, I know the magnetism is going to drop off them, and it's right next to the RDA where you're producing most of the heat, and the magnets will degrade massively. And the minute the magnets degrade, the RDA is going to fall down and it's going to fucking make contact with the mod. It's going to auto fire. I don't want my name associated with that.
Yeah,
they decided to do that, and I was a bit like, you know what, fuck them, get on. Last week I see this. I mean, bearing in mind, mate, I'd had many a meeting with iJoy where Limitless was the fucking topic of conversation from my side, saying, listen, you fuck that company. What's to say you're not going to fuck me? No. They showed me paperwork and solicitors' letters and legal letters where Limitless hadn't honoured their part of the contract. And obviously, my whole dealings with iJoy was never about the mechanical market. I was happy where we got to be mechanical off our own back. I was interested in their ability to sell our products worldwide. I was interested in their ability to manufacture our products because they've got a fantastic manufacturing facility. More importantly, I was interested in our ability to use their knowledge to break regulated long market. That's what I wanted to do with them. And on that basis, they've got a fantastic ability to manufacture product very, very quickly. Like literally, I had a meeting with them and drawed on paper the design for the Emmy in essence. And 4 weeks later, when the geezer come back from China, he got the mod in his hand. He was like, something like this. And I was like, no, why is if you've done it that fucking quick? Fair play to you. But they were saying that once we've got CAD drawings agreed, they could have something manufactured and to market in 6 weeks, packaged worldwide, distributed around the world in 6 weeks' time. So I'm thinking, you know what, my handle on the vaping industry, along with my knowledge of what I believe is a good-looking mech modern, with respect to all of them Chinese companies, I've all tried to sort of crack this mechanical market, authentic mechanical market, and the only one that's really done it is the Wismec stuff, because they've got a designer behind it who knows his shit.
Yeah.
And Jabo knows his shit. He knows what he likes the look of, and Wismec are making products in accordance with his knowledge of what the market wants. And one thing about iJoy is you look at their mechanical products and they're shit. Aesthetically, they're not pleasing, and anything that looks half decent is ultimately copied from something else.
Yeah.
Even down to their combo. Their combo from a distance without their logo on could be a slammer.
Yeah.
Because it's that style of thing. Now, obviously, when I done the slammer, it was very much based on a goon. Now, I didn't copy the goon, but there's only so many ways you can fucking give it a mod AFC. I went for a slot instead of holes. Our original prototype was clamp before ever I'd seen a fucking goon. And I decided, nah, clamp ain't going to be a thing, which is something I've done loads of times where I'm like, no, that won't take off. Goon's probably the biggest selling RDA of all fucking time. But you look at iJoy's products generally, and they're very much copying what's around them without a real understanding of why they're copying it. They're like that clone company that cloned the fucking fishbone and try and sell it to me for $8 when I'm buying the authentic for $6. They don't fucking know. They don't understand. They've got a fantastic, fantastic resource, probably one of the best in the whole of this industry in the world. They can spit out from raw material to a finished product in their facility. 12,000 staff on site per shift, £16 billion a year turnover, mate. We're talking a big, 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 big multinational company owned by one man, owned by one person, and he fucked me for £20,000, the little slanty old motherfucker. And what fucks me off more than anything is £20,000 to him is literally like me tossing a pound coin down the drain for a joke. £20,000 to me is a lot of hours, heartache, sweat, blood, and tears. To have £20,000 profit in our hand is a huge amount of turnover, and not a single fuck given. To the point where it's pointless me wrecking my head worrying about it, because, well, I'm worrying about £20,000 that we've already made and lost. How many more thousands could we lose? Well, I'm that concentrated on something I can't fucking change. Yeah. So I just decided very, very early on in that whole fucking shitstorm, you know what, fuck them. Fuck it, I'm just going to do my own thing. If people want to say that I've cloned iJoy's mod, I don't give a fuck. I know what the situation was with that mod. I know the talks I had with iJoy. It's just one of them things. And then I see the likes of Vupu and Vandy Vape and Tony B and all that, and I just think, I don't know why they didn't expect it. I don't know why they think they've got more clout than anyone else, no matter whether it's 1,000 units or 40,000 units. I know there was talk of 40,000 chipsets.
Yeah,
40,000 squonk mods is a lot of fucking mods, mate. Whatever way you look at it, 40,000 units is a huge number. Now, the only difference is that Vandy Vape have absolutely come into this market in 12 months and smashed the life out of it.
Yeah.
But they've got such an understanding of product and product design and what people want. And we've had that new, the Berserker Mouth to Lung RDA yesterday. And the fucking technology in that RDA, mate, not technology, the thought that's gone into that RDA to make it right for a mouth to lung vapor is second to none. And it retails for $29.99. And it's right and it's done right. And obviously they've got the right people involved on that team of people to say, this is what we want to do. Now, I don't know what Vandy Vape's setup is. I don't know what their turnover is. I'd imagine it's gone from zero to hero in 12 months. I'd imagine they're turning out
now, can't you?
many, many millions of dollars now. But to go from mechanical manufacturing to regulated chipset manufacturing is two different ball games. And the reason why I've never gone regulated is because our manufacturer is out of his depth in that market. And then for me to find someone else that I've got to go to and trust with design and trust with everything else ain't going to work. To the point where I've spoke to Paul Greenough, who's a vapor. He owns, I'm going to say the name of his company and probably get it wrong, or the Microclimate or something like that. He owns a company that makes all the thermostat controls and stuff like that for reptile houses. He lives not far from us. I bought my PlayStation 4 off him, and he's a pal that I've met through this industry. He does all the product design, manufacture, testing in the UK for the chipsets they use in their stuff. And I spoke to Paul this time last year, before ever the iJoy situation had come around, to say, look, can you develop us a chipset that will work in a mod? Because if we can get the chipset manufactured in the UK to a level where we've got the most easy to operate but sophisticated chipset available on the market, I'm happy to produce our product in China and ship unfinished product in from China and pay people in the UK to assemble their mods.
Yeah.
Using a chipset that only we can get hold of, that is compatible with Mac or Windows updates, which is easy to use and easy to expand and easy to update and does what it needs to do. We just haven't got there at the moment because I've been constantly busy doing what we do with Endless. But I've spoke to Paul on numerous occasions about doing that. And once we've got the design of the chipset done, I haven't even got to send it to fucking China. They won't even know what chipset we're putting in the mod, because now I've got the ability to get my nephew to do full CAD drawings for us. I've only got to give him the chipset. He can knock up the CAD drawing for whatever we want making. I can send that to China. They can send me the prototype. I'll throw the chipset in there. If it works and it fits, fucking bang on. Send me 500 of them. Send me 1,000 of them, or whatever we want making. And that's the way that I will go when we go regulated, because to get a decent regulated chip mod made, I've either got to go to the likes of EH Pro, which I've already tried, and their chipsets are shit, in my opinion. The way that they work is not how I'd want my chipset to work. Then when you start talking to them companies about saying, I don't want it to switch off after 60 seconds. I don't want to have to click it 5 times after. I'm happy for it to go to sleep. But the minute I press it, I want it to fucking wake up and fire. Then they're saying, yeah, we can do that. You need to order 15,000 chips if we modify it. And I don't want 15,000 chips, because actually the way that we sell is that we might do 1,000 chipsets, and then during that is learn and understand the chipset and what it should do and what it doesn't need to do, and then go back to the likes of, say, Paul Greenough and say, actually, mate, let's do a version 2, and we don't need it to do that, but I'd like it to do that. What's involved in doing that? And work on them smaller numbers and develop a product that ultimately becomes the best it can be.
Yeah, because there is 15,000 chips.
No, I mean, you know what? Vandy Vape have made, in my opinion, for the money that they sell for, some of the best vaping products on the market. Voopoo came into the market with the drag mod, and the drag is a good mod. I love the mod. I love the look of the mod. I hate the fact they drag on it in massive writing. Typical Chinese thing to do. And actually, if they'd not have done that, I'd have used a drag mod myself. So when you start getting down to that nitty-gritty of aesthetics, China struggle, I think, with aesthetics, because they just know what they think they know what we want, but the reality is they don't. Actually, just put resin panels both sides, but they're all about this branding, and it's a drag mod, and we don't give a fuck what it is. Just send us something that looks nice. RM's got no branding on it whatsoever. The only branding that's on it's on the bottom of the RDA that's fucking touching the top of the mod. You can't see it. It doesn't say Endless on it nowhere.
And people still know it's an Endless mod.
Yeah, it doesn't need to. The new mod's going to be exactly the same. It doesn't need to fucking have it on there, in my opinion. But the chipset in the drag mod is up there, in my opinion, with an SX chip. The SX chip's my favourite chip out of all the chipsets. I prefer it to DNA. Always have done, because the SX chip works. It works well. It's got lots of functionality, but it's easy to use if you don't want to use that functionality. For me, a DNA was always a little bit more than what was needed. And obviously, you've got some anal people that learn the ins and outs of the fucking chip and they know what they're doing with it. And I don't want something I can turn on, adjust my watts, fucking vape on the cunt. That's me. On the basis that that's me, I also know that's a lot of other people. And that's how my chipset would be, mate. You turn it on. When you want to turn the watts up, press the fucking up button. If you want to turn it down, press the down button. I'm not about fucking temperature control because I don't believe it's a thing. People use it, people do it, but actually for run-of-the-mill vaping, most people are banging watt mode on, turning the watts to where they want it, the vaping the fucking thing. That's all I want my chipset to do. That's it. I don't want nothing more than that. I don't want nothing clever and smart. I just want that. Turn it off, turn it on. And actually, why turn it off with 5 clicks? Turn it off with 1 fucking click. Turn it back on with 1 click or 2 clicks to turn it on, 1 to turn it off. What the fuck's 5 all about? You know what I mean? So it's just getting down to the basics of what you want a chipset to do. Voopoo's chipset is good. Vandy Vape know that it's good because if they didn't, they wouldn't have gone 40,000 chipsets balls deep in with them.
Yeah.
Then to come out and start saying "fuck Voopoo," to me is laughable because you're now trying to discredit a company you was about to probably spend £9 million with.
Yeah.
Because they're selling the best chipset for the money on the market. So why are you trying to discredit them now? And I put a post up in the week saying Voopoo are in the middle of their biggest free advertising campaign.
100%.
And they are. And there was. And everyone that's put fuck Voopoo, for every person that's wrote fuck Voopoo, 50 people have said, what's the crack with Voopoo? I didn't even know what the crack with Voopoo was. I done a live feed titled, What's Happening with Voopoo? I didn't know what the fuck it was. People joined my live feed, and some people knew and told me, and other people didn't, so they didn't tell me, but they listened to what was being said. Then I seen videos of people smashing Voopoo mods up. And I'm like, what have you achieved there apart from smashing up a mod that some cunts bought and paid for?
Yeah.
And if you watch, what's the film of Run DMC and that? With 50 cents in, or Fuck the Police. What's that film?
Out of Compton, you think you're saying?
Out of Compton. You watch Out of Compton, mate, when the fucking people are burning the CDs and they're on the coach, on the tour bus, and they say, I don't give a fuck, mate. Some cunts bought them to set fire to them.
Yeah.
As many fucking, if someone wants to take up smashing up endless mods, but you're buying them, knock your fucking self out. Honestly, I don't get it. I really don't get it. For every mod that gets smashed up, we get some sort of advertising, and there's enough people who will say, "Why the fuck are you smashing up a perfectly good mod?"
Yeah,
I just don't get it, and that's why I've always said if someone's bought my product and then has an opinion on it to say they don't like it, it's not that I don't care. They've bought the product, and if it's the shittiest thing they've ever had, they've bought it. If you're making that claim without buying the mod and never using a mod,
you're a cunt.
Stand by that statement. You're an absolute top prick. I've met that statement. I don't get the whole Voopoo thing. I get why Tony B's probably pissed off. I don't understand why. I mean, at the end of the day, Tom, there's two sides to every single story.
Of course.
I said earlier on my live feed, my personal take on people that are fucking quick to go out there and put a story out there are normally the ones sugarcoating shit. And it's in their interest to get a story out there with their slant on it, with their take on it, get as many people on side and discredit the company that's sitting back not saying fuck all. Another reason why I didn't go in balls deep with fucking trying to discredit iJoy. I'm not big enough to take iJoy down, mate. Like I said, they're a £16 billion company that's selling big numbers worldwide in this industry. And anything I can do to iJoy is nothing. So any time that I spend doing that only detracts from what I'm doing for myself.
Exactly.
And I don't even know who Tony B is, mate. I'm not going to lie. I don't know who the fucking geezer is. Don't know him from Adam. I'm assuming he's a reviewer or something in America.
I think he's a reviewer or something, and then he got him with the
company.
company.
Don't know either. Right. So who the fuck is Tony B to be smashing up mods with a mallet? And then there's people who still don't know who Tony B is saying, fuck Voopoo, man. I can't believe you fucked over Tony B. You don't even know who Tony B is, you prick. No, seriously, I seen a post yesterday, or it might have even been this morning. I'm thinking it was yesterday, where someone who works for Voopoo, who clearly hasn't got a clue about this fucking shitstorm, had posted on a big vape group about who's going to vape jam. Mate, this fucking poor Chinese cunt got tore a new arsehole by fucking dickheads who don't know who Tony B is. Probably, like Tash just said, probably never had a Voopoo mod. Probably hadn't even heard of Voopoo before this shit. Because actually, most people know what a drag mod is. I bet most people didn't know Voopoo Medic.
Voopoo was, yeah.
It was just the drag mod. I've got a drag mod, man. They're fucking fire. Tash is using a Voopoo too. And it's good. It's clever how it's set up. It works well. The chipset's fucking good in there. It works. And you've got all these fucking sheep going, oh, fuck Voopoo. Well, not fucking fuck Voopoo. They're on 6 other groups, mate. Fucking liking and sharing a competition to win a fucking Voopoo too, man.
Is that how finicky we've got as a fucking industry?
Mate, that is the level we're at, mate. It's fucking shocking, and it's mad to think. The vaping Brogan smashed the mud up with a mallet. I'm not gonna lie, I don't know who the fucking vaping Brogan is. But I'm not gonna pretend I know all these people. I know who I fucking know, and people who know me know me. I don't know who the vaping Brogan is. Again, I'm assuming he's a UK reviewer.
Or not Bogan's an Australian reviewer.
All right, so he's Australian. So now he's like, oh, fucking hell, mate. You can't fuck with Tony B. We're going to smash up the fucking Voopoo, mate. What?
Got like 500,000 views on smashing the mod up as well.
Yeah, but that is why it's done. It's not done for no other reason. I now know who the fucking vaping Brogan is because he smashed up a Voopoo mod because Tony B's fucking burnt. And in hindsight, this time last week, I should have snatched Tasha's Voopoo mod off her on a live feed and took it outside and smashed it up in the street and fucking, fuck Voopoo, because I'd have got 500,000 likes as well. And then people would be saying, who's that mad geezer? Oh, he owns Endless Mods. What's Endless Mods? A little company in the UK that makes mechanical mods. Oh, fuck Voopoo, I'm buying a fucking Endless. What the fucking hell? Why is the vaping Brogan in I didn't know who the vaping Brogan was. I'm not even going to lie to you. I didn't know who it was. I just seen this mad geezer trying to kill a fucking Voopoo with a rubber mallet. And I was like, listen, if you're going to like take to Facebook like some fucking hero and smash a mod up, at least get a proper mallet and smash it to bits in one go. You have to hit it 950 times to fucking break the cunt. Saying, these are fucking shit, mate. Oh, and I was like, what the? I don't know.
Next time there's some fucking drama, you need to go get that fucking mod out of the shop and fucking smash this shit.
You know what I was going to do? I was going to smash up a Voopoo mod with a fucking coiling on it, right? Because everyone would be like, I don't even know who the fuck I'm cheering on here. I don't get it. I can remember Ibs at Inner Vapors in Birmingham. And Ibs is a proper noise kid, man. Proper genuine kid. And when the Snow Wolf come out, they fucked him over something, didn't they? He'd got distribution on it or something, and they give it to someone else and whatever else. And he had a faulty Snow Wolf. Now, obviously, the Snow Wolves back in the day, mate, they were a bit of a fuck you. I'm a baller, mate. I got a fucking Snow Wolf. You thought the iPhone of fucking mods. Fucking it, mate. It's like the fucking Nokia of mods. Let's be honest. It looks like a fucking a bit like an iPhone, but they weren't all that. But they were the first people to claim 200 watts and all that malarkey. And they fucked him over, and he took a broken Snow Wolf that didn't work out into the street and hammered the fucking thing to death, smashed it to pieces. And there was people on there up in arms going, you could have fucking give that to a poor kid in Africa, you fucking horrible cunts, or whatever. Oh my God, you've broke that mod up and there's fucking people starving in the world. Mate, they're not going to eat a fucking Snow Wolf, right? So they're still going to be fucking starving. Even if I send them the mud, they're going to get dry mouth vaping because they ain't got no fucking water to drink. It's like, no, seriously, it's a bit like, I don't even get that argument, per. It's like when I used to leave me dinner when I was a kid, now I'm going, you're fucking wasting that. There's people fucking starving in Africa. What's sending me fucking crusts? I don't know what else you want me to do. I really don't know what the fuck to do.
Oh my fucking god! No, it's just the mentality of people. It's like following it. You smash it up, you get a fucking 12 fucking thumbs up.
Just commented saying actually what it was is they wanted to prove it was faulty in order to honour his warranty. So he fucking smashed it to bits with the fucking amateur ribs, fucking writ it off bad. There's a lot of people screwing over this mod fucking getting smashed up. And then you've got, I mean, how many followers has this vaping Brogan got? Is he like a big YouTuber?
I think he's got like 200,000 fucking subs, isn't it?
So I'm going to fucking Google this geezer right now. Vaping. Are we running?
Bogan, I think.
We're half an hour over, man. This is like a fucking extras bit. This is. You should have subscriptions when I start doing accents and stuff like that, and I've got into fucking stand-up comedy mode. You should be fucking paying for this.
Look at Kaylee. Kaylee says, should have drove down to Land Rover and drove it through the show window.
That's really extreme, that is, because I'd end up getting put in jail.
The whole Vupu thing, get it?
Brogan made the Bonza, and the Bonza is a Vandy Vape product, isn't it? The Bonza RDA. Come on, Tom, you should know this. You're a fucking YouTube reviewer. You're big Tom from fucking YouTube.
I didn't know he made fucking an RDA.
Sam Parsons on Facebook. He's a
all I need to know is that fucking Paul Harrison makes endless mods. That's all I need to fucking know.
No, so James saying his name's Sam Parsons on Facebook. He's down good, Brogan. He's good mates with Tony B. And I get all of that. I don't understand why you take a rubber mallet to a mod that you couldn't. You really have to put some serious effort into try and smash it up to prove a point that you can't trust the Chinese. That's ultimately what this was about. It's about two Chinese companies that are probably now multi-million-pound turnover businesses through this industry, fucking each other without a care in the world, and now spending more money, time and resource trying to discredit each other. And it actually divided the community because you've now got these anti-Vupu people and you've got the fucking Vandy Vape Pro people. And it's like, you've got, like I said, you've got people that don't know Tony B from fucking Adam, and they wouldn't know the vaping broker if you come up and give them a fucking tin of 4X. But they've decided to take sides. I do not give a fuck about Vupu. I don't give a fuck about Vandy Vape. If Tony B has gone balls deep into some sort of project with them, I do fucking feel for the fact that they will pull a stroke. That says, why the fuck is someone on that geezer's level? And so I don't know Tony B from Adam, right? So I don't know what his following is. I don't know how big he is. I didn't know he'd done the Bonza. I know what the Bonza is. I didn't know Tony B was behind the Bonza. But to get to the point where you're that balls deep into promoting a product that you're yet to get the fucking hardware for, don't make any sense to me at all.
Yeah, but the people that are actually benefiting from it isn't Tony B, it's Vupu and fucking Vandy Vape, because they're both now getting their names out there for fucking nothing. So they're both.
And that's what I says. I now know that the vaping Brogan made the Bonza, and I know that the vaping Brogan is a fucking cheeky little Australian geezer. I don't know if he talks like Chopper or not. Your fucking mom's upset. Look what you fucking done. You've upset your fucking mom. I don't know whether he talks like Chopper or whether he fucking doesn't talk like Chopper. But I know he's a reviewer. I now know he's Australian. And I know that because he smashed up a Vupu mod. And he smashed up a Vupu mod because he's pals with fucking Tony B. I don't know who fucking Tony B is. I don't. So... But he's clearly balls deep in with some sort of project with Vandy Vape. Again, you've got all these reviewers that have started jumping into bed with all these Chinese companies, really because Jabo done what he done.
Yeah,
Jabo done what he done. He jumped into bed with the Chinese, and he's the only person up to yet, in my opinion, that's made a success of it. Because Limitless tried it straight after. Joy fucking fingered them in the arse good and proper. And actually, for as much as iJoy fucked me over, they fucked Limitless over on a massive scale to the point where it put iJoy on the map. Because there's no way people would have bought iJoy products in the manner that they did prior to it having Limitless's name on it.
Yeah.
They just wouldn't. And when I went into any sort of dealings with iJoy, I went in there, I thought pretty open-eyed. I was cautious about what we'd done. I thought very carefully in the way that the contracts had been worded, and the contracts that we signed were worded in such a way that I'd never get fucked over. But the reality is, Tom, when these people don't give a shiny shit and their pockets are that fucking deep, they could buy and sell you in a fucking heartbeat. They don't give a fuck. And this whole two Chinese companies on the level of Vandy Vape and Voopoo going to war with each other publicly on Facebook proves that neither of them give a fuck, actually.
Mm.
And I don't believe that Voopoo's sales will suffer for this. And if the Vaping Brogan's got 200,000 followers and Tony B's got 1 million followers, and I haven't got a clue whether he's got 10 or 1 million, don't know, don't really care. There's only going to be a certain percentage of them people that won't use a Voopoo mod.
Yeah.
And I don't believe that Tony B's sales of his ultimate project with Vandy Vape will suffer for this. In fact, I didn't know Tony B was making a fucking mod with Vandy Vape, and now I do. So it's not done him any harm. Whatever chipset they put in that mod will be adequate and it will do its job. There's people that didn't know what fucking Voopoo was, but they now know that they're producing a pretty good chipset, and it must be good because this fucking whole shitstorm's over a fucking chip.
Yeah.
A board, whatever you want. It's not a chip, it's a board. But on that basis, who's suffered from this?
No,
Vaping Brogan's probably got more followers now because people will have seen his video and they've now decided. I don't say I've never watched one of his videos. I don't know. It might be a perfectly sound geezer. I just seen him trying to kill a mod with a rubber mallet and thought, what a fucking prize clown. Because actually take a massive brick to it and smash it to pieces. And on that basis, I don't know. It's the thing that I don't like about all of it, Tom, is that ultimately there's people now in our community, whether that be in the UK, whether it be in America, whether it be in Australia, China, there's people that divided and chose to take sides. My personal opinion is we sell Voopoo mods in our shop. We sell Vandy Vape product in our shop. I will always continue to try and stock what I believe is right for our customers. That's what we've done from day one. I didn't stop selling iJoy products when they fucked Limitless. And if you think about the way that Limitless got fucked by iJoy, regardless of the situation, there was a point where it was made very clear that their workings together was no longer a thing.
Yeah.
Not associated with each other. iJoy continued to use Limitless branding for a long, long time after that. And we sold more RDTAs. I mean, they put an RDTA on the fucking map, let's be honest. For a mainstream RDTA for 25 quid with Limitless branding on it, we couldn't get them into our shop quick enough and sell them out fucking fast enough. And James is in the chat. I'm sure James will tell you the same thing. James was one of the only retailers distributing them or wholesaling Limitless at the time. When he's selling mods at whatever the price of them, I can't even remember. I'd imagine a Limitless mod with a sleeve would cost you somewhere between, at the time, 150 to 200 quid, depending on material. And then all of a sudden, you've got a company that could have manufactured their product through iJoy and sold out their RDTA at 70 quid and people would have bought it. 100% people would have bought it. iJoy dropped it at 25 quid. And fuck me, no one give a fuck that Limitless got shafted, mate. They give a fuck that they can get a Limitless RDTA for 25 quid. And the bottom line is, when push comes to shove, people are fucking fickle where money's concerned. And money does talk. And if we'd have got further into bed with iJoy to a point where they were putting our logos on their mechanical mods, and then they start dropping them for $29.99, and I'm no longer part of that equation, people out there wouldn't give a fuck. I got myself a fucking cracking endless, man, 30 quid. I wouldn't give a shit. I wouldn't give a shit how it affects me, personally. They'd just go, oh yeah, mint man, I got myself fucking endless finally. They're only 30 quid now. Fucking I-join manufacturing them for them. Wouldn't care a bollocks, mate. As simple as that. And on that basis, I don't need to get involved in Vandy Vape and Vupu's drama. I think it's all a bit pathetic.
Someone's gained out of it. Not
Huh?
Someone's gained out of it, and it's not us. So who the fuck wants drama?
Mate, both of them companies 100% will gain out of this, because Vupu are making a wicked chipset. There's no two ways about it. The drag mod was a fantastic mod for 55 quid or 50 quid or whatever the fuck it sold for, 45 quid, I can't remember. Fantastic mod. Great mod. The only downside for that mod for me is they should have put a resin panel on the other side, not fucking drag, and a bastard car or whatever the fuck. So I don't even know what's on. I didn't have one. We sell them. We've got them in the shop. I didn't like the drag written on it. So, but the chipset from day one, wicked chipset. So Tasha's got the Vupu too. The chipping, it works really, really well. And Vandy Vape are making good products, mate. They're smashing this industry to fucking pieces, but they're doing it right. I say you have a look at the mouth to lung Berserker RDA that we had in yesterday, and their attention to detail to make that a fucking proper RDA that is mouth to lung and is squonk compatible for 30 quid. It's next level, and it really is. And the coiling, they were the first people to make. I mean, Sherman was out there beforehand, and as much as I like the Sherman, the coiling, in my opinion, is on par with it for the money.
Yeah.
And I do like the Sherman. I've got a Sherman. Tasha's got a Sherman. It's really nice. It's well made. Again, a Chinese product sold by a UK company, which is fantastic. Does it perform any better than the coiling? For me personally, no. Does it give me better flavour than the coiling? Honestly, no. And I've seen, I mean, Stu Vapes will say that the coiling doesn't give him no flavour. I just dropped a bomb then. And actually, I thought I might have shit myself. That's why I was a bit cautious with the last bit. Like Stu Vapes always says to me, I can't get no fucking flavour out of my coiling. Yet I've used one on my Empress from last May. And for me, for a 20, what was it, 30 quid for a coiling? 30 quid, whatever it is. It's not a lot of money. It works, and it works well. And actually, from the coiling, they've just gone from strength to strength, in my opinion, dropping out the right products at the right time. We've just had the coiling minis in yesterday. They're fucking banging. The fucking Pulse Squonk mod was just like, again, they're coming in at this price point of, and it's not the best made stuff in the world, mate. It's not, and it's good quality Chinese product. You can tell it's Chinese product. However, their price point is more than acceptable for the quality of product that they're producing, in my opinion. I don't know. It's a difficult one. So I get that people get sort of personally invested in these products as we did with iJoy. But to go to the extreme of trying to discredit that company, for me personally, I've never been about that. I mean, like I've said it many times personally on my statuses on Facebook that my dad always said to me: for every minute you spend stressing about someone else is a minute you've not spent concentrating on yourself. And I think when you get wrapped up in a big old shitstorm like this, you can become that distracted from what you're actually trying to do. But by the time they've said, you know what, fuck Vupu, let's get on with our mod. Vupu will have dropped their mod with their chipset in it and sold fucking 100,000 units. And Vandy Vape is still going to be scratching their fucking head. And Tony B's going to be like, how the fuck did I miss that market? Or whatever I don't even know what their project was. I'm assuming they're making a regulated squonk mod. That was the essence of... So, and there's no reason why Vupu aren't going to make a regulated squonk mod. It's a big fucking part of what we do, squonking is. And if they can bring out a squonk mod at a reasonable money using a chipset that they're also prepared to sell to another company, why wouldn't they do that? So, I don't know. There's more thoughts on the whole Vupu Vandy Vape thing. And fucking Mr. fucking Brogan.
Well, that's brilliant. They got 45 minutes extra, so I think we should sign off. It's been a good show. Anybody who wants to watch back of anything, you can make sure you subscribe and make sure you press the bell icon as well. It does give you a notification every time we go live and or when I upload a video. So we'll be signing out. Thanks ever so much for watching, guys, and we'll see you next week.
Please.
Peace.